talks will provide $300 billion for a small business payroll program, $50 billion for a small business disaster fund, $75 billion for hospitals, and $25 billion for testing. President Trump said yesterday at the White House briefing there's a good chance of a bipartisan agreement.
We're continuing to negotiate with the Democrats to get our great workers and small businesses all over the country taken care of. I think we're getting close to a deal.
The Senate is scheduled for a pro forma session today. The House announced it could meet as soon as Wednesday for a vote. I'm Julie Walker.
Local police are trying to identify the person or persons who vandalized a park named in honor of a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officer who was ambushed and fatally shot while on duty in 2014. Las Vegas Deputy City Marshals seeking the public's assistance in identifying those responsible for the destruction of approximately 25 trees at Allen Beck Memorial Park in northwest Las Vegas. A psychologist says fans need to find other outlets until sports resume.
Dr. Andrew Yellen is a licensed sports psychologist and runs a private practice in Southern California. But when the sports world comes to a complete standstill, Dr. Yellen suggests that fans look to try something different.
There are a myriad of things that can be done, whether it's learning a foreign language, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's writing creativity, whether it's working on your saw in the garage or something like that. But the creativity seems to really get the juices flowing for a lot of people that are missing sports.
If you can't scream and yell for your favorite team, the doctor says exercise is a great way to reduce stress. Mark Myers, Los Angeles.
With a check on our weather, here's News 3's Kelly Curran.
We're looking at mostly sunny skies throughout much of the day. A few more clouds moving in later in the afternoon with a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms in the late afternoon and evening hours. Highs today forecast to top out in the upper 70s. Keep listening for more updates throughout the day from News 3, your weather authority.
Sunshine, 66 in Las Vegas. I'm John Shapiro on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, Las Vegas' only FM news talk station. With a look at the roads, here's John Michaels.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork. When you need in-demand talent on demand. Watch for slowing for a crash in North Las Vegas on Craig Road, eastbound at I-15. This one is blocking 2 right lanes. Stay to the left to get by or take an alternate like Cheyenne Avenue instead. Also a crash reported at Sahara at Fort Apache Road. That is causing delays at the intersection. Avoid slowing. Take an alternate like North Lake Drive or Grand Canyon Drive. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11. Sunday nights, it's Steve Sanchez.
Wake the heck up.
Live from the undisclosed bunker studios with a Constitution in one hand and a Bible in the other. Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. If you've been in an accident, who do you call? The funny lawyer? The angry, aggressive lawyer? The lawyer that your mom's brother's friend's cousin recommends. Now, call me instead. I'm the guy the insurance companies don't want you to call. Really, they really don't. I can help you, and I won't take more money than you at the end of your case. Check it out.
If you're tired of greedy lawyers, call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell. More lawyer, less fee.
Some restrictions apply.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
After 40 years of serving Las Vegas, Ricardo's is continuing to serve Las Vegas with to-go, pickup or curbside, delivery through DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, and Postmates. Northwest corner of Flamingo and Decatur, Ricardo's of LasVegas.com. We look forward to being in service to you.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono. Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDARN.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, good morning, Las Vegas. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Monday. I hope everybody had the best weekend they could. Not a lot going on out there, but hopefully everybody stayed safe. We got a lot to get to, a lot to go over today. And, yeah, we're going to have Mayor Carolyn Goodman joining us live coming up in hour number 2 to talk about a lot of things, including her comments, her insane comments in regards to everything being shut down, in regards to the governor, in regards to Donald Trump's comments. In the press conference yesterday, Mayor Carolyn Goodman was brought up by the president, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So that's going to be coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, we're going to be hearing from a local Las Vegan who owns a business. He's struggling. Why has he been unable to get help from the government? So we'll be talking to him coming up in hour number 3 as well. Maybe even get a little bit of sports in there. But the first thing that I want to talk about, and by the way, Chris Wynn is joining us in studio.
What's up, gentlemen? I get a chance. It's Monday, so I get a chance to hog some of my airtime for people out there, apparently.
Get your comments ready.
Yes.
Hey, did you actually say sports, Brian? Did I hear that word right?
Perhaps coming up in hour number 3. Well, the Last Dance.
I'm not sure I believe you.
Well, JD, think about it,
because
right?
you didn't watch it. Me and Chris watched it. The Michael Jordan.
Think about
Last
it.
Dance.
Think about it, JD Sharp.
Yeah.
We actually have stuff going on this week when it comes to sports, right? You got the NFL draft on tap this Thursday. And, of course, there's a couple other things that we're going to talk about, of course, with the
yeah, but I want to talk
as
about
long as we can spend 12 minutes discussing wagering Call of Duty, I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that. Sorry to disappoint you. But here's something that I do want to talk about that I think is should be very important to all Americans. It certainly is important to me, and I've taken offense to it because it could affect my health and my life, and that is these protests that are going on throughout the country. And let me be very clear on it. You can disagree with Governor Sisolak. You could disagree with this shutdown. You can disagree with anything you want. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment, and it doesn't mean you have the right to put all of our lives at risk. Let me explain. There's something called social distancing. There's something called being asymptomatic. And when you go out there, it didn't just happen in Las Vegas. It happened everywhere. But I'll just focus on Las Vegas. To the morons who decided to go out there with your Trump signs and not practice social distancing, you are a reckless individual, selfish, and you don't care about the lives of other innocent Americans. There are reasons why we have these social distancing laws in place right now, the 6 feet rule. And don't you tell me that these protesters were practicing that, because the majority of them were not. Not to mention that throughout the country, there was a Confederate flag seen in Wisconsin. There were Nazi signs seen throughout the country. Don't tell me this wasn't political rallies, because at every single one of these rallies, you saw Trump signs. And don't tell me the President of the United States is not responsible for this, because he partially is. Remember when he said, liberate Michigan and several other states that happen to be run by Democratic governors. Here's what's so ironic, and the stupidity of some of these people that are out there protesting, putting our lives at risk. They're protesting the president's guidelines. They're protesting the administration's guidelines, and yet you have a Trump sign up there. Do you realize how stupid you are? If you're one of those people that protested over the weekend, forget about across the country. Let's just start right here in Las Vegas. You are an ignoramus. You are a moron, and I compare you to a drunk driver. And people always ask me, well, what's the comparison between that? Well, when you decide to get into your car drunk, you're not only risking your life, you're risking the lives of everyone else. You are playing Russian roulette with society. You don't know if you have the virus or not. If you're one of those people that has not been tested, How do you know 100% whether you have the virus inside of you or not? The answer is you don't. Reckless, going out there and protesting in front of, I think they said there was somewhere around along the lines of 500 people that were protesting. You are putting other people's lives at risk. You are scum of the earth as far as I'm concerned. You are some of the dumbest people in society when you decide to leave your home, take your kids with you, show off your stupid little gun, and prance around with a Trump sign like everything's just fine. And here's another point I'd like to make. Do you think Governor Sisolak is sitting in his home or sitting in his office and he's saying to himself, you know what? Even though I've been listening to all those health professionals, I think I'm going to change my mind. You know what? I think I'm just going to change my mind and I'm going to open up the Strip because of those 200 or 300 idiots out there that are protesting. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to change my mind. If you think that's going to happen, you are the dumbest person I've ever met in my life. If you actually think Steve Sisolak is going to change his mind because of you idiots out there not practicing social distancing, protesting. This isn't about the First Amendment, so don't give me that crap that it is about the First Amendment. It's not. Yes, the First Amendment says you're allowed to protest. Not when you defy law and there is a pandemic. The First Amendment does not apply to this. So don't you give me that crap, and don't you tell me it's not a Trump rally, and don't you tell me that Donald Trump isn't partially responsible. He defended it the last several days, and he defended it again yesterday. I want to play you a little bit of the audio of some of these protests, particularly those from Channel 3 that took place in Las Vegas on Saturday. Have a listen to this report, and then maybe you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Despite the governor's stay-at-home order and pleas from health officials to practice social distancing, hundreds gathered at the Grant Sawyer building Saturday, carrying flags.
Freedom is what we want. Freedom is what we demand.
Displaying signs and standing close together.
Our voice of freedom is sounding loud today.
Showing their displeasure with Governor Sisolak's tactics to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus in Nevada.
Have you been on the Strip? Have you been on the Strip? It is boarded up. This guy has told people they are non-essential.
Many say the impact of shutting down all non-essential businesses has been devastating. They say they're out of work.
We're clearly going into a depression. It's obvious that this is going to make the economy suffer.
They say they're struggling to pay rent.
The city needs to open back up so these people can feed their families.
And worried their constitutional rights are threatened.
We don't need a nanny in the State House at all.
Sisolak has repeatedly stressed he will look to health professionals on when the state economy is safe to reopen. But for protesters here today,
this is ridiculous.
Everyone's on house arrest.
This guy, he told people on unemployment last night to be more patient. They don't have a check.
They say the time to declare Nevada open is now.
We got a great economy going in America. Leave it alone. Open it all back up.
What a bunch of dopes. Okay, what a bunch of dopes.
Some, not all, Brian.
I would say all, because if you are, and here's why I say all, JD, and here's why I completely disagree with you. Even if you're one of those people that is, not wearing a Trump, not having a Trump sign, and you're there because you think you're there for the right reasons. You're too dumb to understand. These people that showed up are too dumb to understand that if they're not practicing social distance, regardless of their reasons for being there, you are putting everybody else at risk. Why is that so hard for people to understand?
Well, and that's really only the case because a new study came out, and it was based on a government report that heat and hot weather and the sun does relatively quickly kill
There was a study in France that
this came out 2 days ago, Brian.
And
I promise you.
This study came out a couple days ago also. They put everything in 140 degrees
This is absolutely true, Brian.
What study are you
So
referring
if this is taking place,
I have a study that says the opposite
if
of what
this
you
is
just
taking
said.
place outdoors and not indoors, then the chance of the virus spreading, assuming social distancing is taking place and assuming masks are being worn, then the virus is not going to be spread outdoors. Now, that being said, there are 350,000 people in Nevada that are unemployed right now. The system's backed up 2 weeks. There's a lot of people that haven't got their checks, so I do understand that unemployment is probably going to hit nearly 25 to 30%.
And that's not an excuse to put people at risk.
Now, as far as having the conversation about the Strip isn't going to be open until 20 or 30 other states are open. But can local businesses be open? In my opinion, this particular protest took place too early. Now, if on May 1st, the quarantine is extended until June 1st or until May 15th or something along those lines, then I think a protest of sorts would be warranted. But I think this is because once the government made those guidelines, the 30-day guidelines, every single state was going to adhere to it, and so was Las Vegas, and so was Nevada.
Can I just add something?
And we understand that.
There are researchers in France that have been doing this for many, many years, led by Remy Charel and Boris Pastorino, who are very respected researchers and scientists, that said that this virus survived at 140-degree Fahrenheit temperatures typically used to disinfect research labs. So I'm going by this study, what you specifically just said, that this virus cannot survive high temperatures is not factually accurate. And I also would go one step further. Even if it was true what you just said, okay, it was 70 degrees over the weekend. And the idea that that might be true is not an excuse for people going out there in droves of hundreds, 500 people, and putting everybody at risk, even if what you were saying was true.
Well, and
it's
again,
irresponsible behavior.
We don't know how much the city is at risk. We know that Nevada has roughly 3,700 cases collectively. We know there's about 150 deaths collectively. We know that the positive testing rate is under 10%. The chance of there being asymptomatic cases in Nevada is a lot smaller than it is in a state like in New York,
So just let
or
them not
Michigan,
practice social
or New
distancing.
Jersey.
What's your point?
I'm just saying the chance of it spreading as fast as you think it's going to happen is pretty unlikely here in Las Vegas,
wasn't even
in
talking about
Nevada,
how fast it could spread.
in Nevada,
I wasn't talking
because of the
about that.
caseload and because of the lack of cases compared to the rest of the United States.
I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying.
I'm listening to exactly what you're saying,
okay,
but
I'm not. Hold on a second.
You're
Hold on a second.
you're also referencing a French study. I had a French study, several French studies on hydroxychloroquine,
which involved
that you turned down
because you
multiple
misquoted
times.
it and you said 30 out of. Excuse me. You said 30
There's
out of.
3 different studies,
you
Brian.
said 30 out of. I remember when you quoted that France story. You said 30 out of 30 people were cured of the coronavirus. I corrected you and you got pissed off at me. I correct you when I think something you're saying is wrong. And I think you're wrong here. There is no sufficient evidence to prove that the coronavirus cannot survive in heat. And what I'm trying to tell you is even if you were 100% right, and even if you're right about it's a low chance, it's a low chance. Even if it's a low chance, a 1% chance, a tenth of a percentage chance that somebody could have gotten the virus, it is wrong, and the behavior is irresponsible for protesters to go out there, many of whom I would imagine have not been tested, to go out there and put people's lives at risk.
Let me ask you this.
Period.
Do you think that those protesters before Albertsons and Smith's and Vaughn's and Whole Foods and Costco implemented their social distancing when this all started?
Completely
irrelevant. No, it's not.
Completely
no,
irrelevant.
Do you think that those people in enclosed spaces, just when all this started, do you think the virus would spread more there than it would at a protest? Because I think it would.
Okay, here's I'll answer your question.
I believe that the virus was going to be spread regardless. It's being spread in grocery stores. They're having conversations right now about shutting down grocery stores because, Brian, this virus
do you want me to answer
is going to run its course.
All right, go ahead.
And there really isn't much we can do about it at this point. But yeah, please answer my question.
Well, I can't answer your question if you keep talking over. I forget what you asked. First of all, let me put it to you in the simplest possible way I can, in the easiest terms I can. Again, even if you're right that it's, you can catch the virus in supermarkets and there's a great chance. By the way, people are practicing social distancing in supermarkets, by the way. They weren't practicing social distancing at these protests. So you forget to mention that. But even if that was true.
Which is the major point, by the way.
It still doesn't make it right.
I'm saying they weren't initially. They weren't for weeks initially. That all started probably 10 days ago or 12 days ago.
I got to chime in here because you guys aren't breaking down the fundamental argument here between both sides. The fundamental argument that you guys just bantered about for 5 minutes on is that there are some people out there who are practicing social distancing, who believe, who are listening to the science, who are paying attention to the people who are public health officials, who are in the know, okay, as far as this virus and what it's about. And then there are people like the protesters out there, a very small number, of course, the people, it's not like it's the majority of people that are out there protesting saying that we should open up society. That's not the case. It's a very small number of people who are going and listening to AKA the President of the United States and others who just want to open up society for whatever reason that they have. And there's a number of reasons that they say. They say, well, I'm going to lose my job, right? Or I think this is overblown. They have reasons, but the reasons are not justified. And they're not based in science. They're not based in fact. They're based on their personal feelings. And you guys are debating back and forth and talking about numbers here and numbers there. It's not the fundamental. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the argument. It's one side who's basing it on science and fact and it's another side basing it on economics, okay, and what they believe. And that's the fundamental issue that we have.
I would say it's the exact opposite.
Issue.
We don't understand when the virus got here. We don't know the mortality rate. All that is all a guess. But we do know how many jobs are lost.
What is
we do know how many businesses being shut down. We do know Neiman Marcus is about to go into bankruptcy. We do understand.
What does Neiman Marcus have
I don't
to do
understand
with it?
what
it's one of many. It's one of many businesses right now that are being adversely affected by this particular virus.
We know that
in Las Vegas.
We know that.
But JD, you posed the question. We don't know when this virus got here. What
You're right. We don't.
What does that question have to do with anything? What does that question have to do with the debate that we're having right now?
Because we don't understand what the actual mortality rate is.
We don't know exactly when.
Chris, we don't know if it's 0.05%. We don't know if it's 2.0%. We don't know if it's 1.0%. We have absolutely no idea how deadly this virus is. But we're acting like this is almost as deadly as the Spanish flu. When the fact of the matter is, we truly don't know because we've been working with incomplete data since day one.
We're acting like it's more deadly.
And misinformation.
Let me chime in
from China as well.
Let's go with what you just said. You said a lot of we don't knows.
Yes.
So your answer to a lot of the we don't knows is let's just go back to normal. Let the protesters go out there, not social distancing. Let's reopen everything. Because we don't have all the we don't knows, you don't think we should take a little bit more time and wait until we know a little bit more?
I'm talking about states like Nevada.
And I'm talking
not states like New York, not states like New Jersey.
So different states to be open and others aren't.
Not states like Michigan.
Okay, so
obviously, yes.
Can I ask you a question?
States like Texas, states like Wyoming.
I want to ask you
no sense.
How does that make no sense, Chris?
Okay, let's go back to what happened on Thursday, right? The United States government has put forth a 3-phase plan, right, to reopen the country. Okay, so are we going to have one state that's phase 3 and another state that's at phase 1 and another state that's at phase? Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, excuse me, we do live in a country, right, where we don't have borders.
That's the entire point.
So people are going to be able to bounce forward from one state to another.
But the states are sovereign. The states make their own decisions.
JD,
the same reason why Donald Trump didn't implement a nationwide lockdown. That's the same reason why Donald Trump cannot decide when the states open up because the states have their own governors. The states are sovereign.
Think about what you're saying for a second.
I'm thinking clearly about what I'm saying.
Hold on. I think you're thinking about as clearly as the president is thinking.
Yes.
But let's just go to that.
And the president's wrong too, by the way, on this.
You're going to have one state that is pretty much back to normal in phase 3. And then it is very possible that you have a border with another state that is barely getting through phase 1, and there's no borders that are saying you can't go from state to state. So you could have infected people going to a different state, abiding by different rules.
Exactly.
To any scientist or doctor that is logical, it makes absolutely no sense.
Then by that logic, then Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx, who put together those phases, are not logical.
No, they didn't put together.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
This is a
those guidelines were
not
based.
Those two, though.
Yes,
everybody on the response team is what was in on this. As well as the Trump administration.
As far as the science goes, Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx put together those guidelines. So you're telling me, you've been touting Fauci for 3 weeks. You're telling me that Fauci doesn't know what he's talking about?
First of all.
You don't think that he factored that into the conversation initially?
All right, first of all.
You actually think that he's not thinking about that particular element of what's going on? Because I guarantee you he is.
First of all, when you use the term tout.
Tout, yeah.
Okay, well, here's something I haven't done, okay? I haven't used the economy and money over the doctor's opinions on whether it's safe to be out there. I haven't touted Donald Trump and politicians. You know what I've done? I've said it consistently since day one, and I'm going to say it again for you right now. I would rather listen to the doctors and the experts, now whether that's Fauci or the experts, than listen to any politician or an economist. That's number one. Number two, Fauci yesterday said if we reopen any states, if we reopen them too soon, it could be a disastrous effect on this country. That is a quote from Dr. Fauci yesterday. So no, I don't personally believe that he's going to have a bunch of these states together, one in phase 1 and one in phase 3. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not his decision. That's why the Constitution
well, then why are you talking about
is in place.
If it's not his decision.
Because they came up with the guidelines, Brian.
Right.
The states will make their own decisions predicated on the guidelines that they came up with.
And I think that's very dangerous, just like we have in Florida, that Nimrod governor in Florida that has opened up the beaches, which is absolutely absurd. And I call all you protesters across the country idiots, morons. You care more about holding up your Donald Trump sign in Las Vegas saying F you to Sisolak than the health and the security of the people in this country. You are selfish, you are disgusting, and you have no brain. And whether you're on unemployment or not. And by the way, unemployment benefits, I understand this isn't perfect. I understand that, this website isn't working great for people, but a lot of the people that I know are getting their unemployment checks and they're able to survive. Now, maybe that's not true for all. That's fine. But is that an excuse because you don't have any money to go down and protest and put other people's health and lives at risk?
Again,
the
Brian,
answer is no.
It's not just money. When you don't have a job, you don't have health insurance. You have stress.
So if you don't have health insurance, maybe put yourself at risk for getting coronavirus. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, there's so many different things you have to factor in,
That
Brian.
makes a lot of sense.
That come with losing your job.
I don't have medical benefits, so I think I'm going to put myself at risk and maybe get the coronavirus. Boy, that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, Brian and JD, let me pose a very simple question to both of you, and I want an honest answer from both of you, okay? If the mayor of Jacksonville, right, and DeSantis by default, because DeSantis is the governor of Florida, if they feel that they can open up a Jacksonville beach, right, then why not open up all the beaches in Florida? Why not open up all the beaches across the country? I pose that question to you guys, seriously, both of you.
Idiotic.
Why? No, I'm asking you because the beaches are open in Jacksonville right now. So why wouldn't you? Why, if you're going to use the rationale, right, that it's okay to have Jacksonville beach open, why not open up every beach in Florida and by extension every beach in the United States of America? I pose that question to both of you.
That question is the reason why I say the rationale of opening up any beaches is idiotic. It makes absolutely no sense. It puts people in harm's way. Those people that are on those beaches are not practicing social distancing. It is idiotic and is ridiculous. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We have a little more audio to play for you. What does Donald Trump think about these protests? Well, we have some new audio to play for you. It's why I say he's partially responsible for this, but I am going to open up the phone lines. What do you think about these protesters? You have no problem with people gathering in droves in the hundreds, 500 people, not practicing social distancing, holding up their Trump signs, in some situations holding up Confederate flags and Nazi signs throughout the country? What do you think about that? The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be part of this conversation, we'll try to get to as many calls as we can on the other side of the break. That number, 702-257-5396. Do you casually not have an issue with this? Are you okay with people protesting and not practicing social distancing, even though the experts are saying, no, that can't happen? It's the president's own guidelines in his administration that says you need to practice social distancing. Your thoughts on that? We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
The most dangerous day for a newborn is her first day of life. She's at risk from infections, pneumonia, malnutrition. Every 31 seconds, another infant is lost. Another family's hope for their baby's future is crushed. The most heartbreaking part? These deaths are preventable. For more than 60 years, Project Hope has worked to make lifelong health care available to the world's most vulnerable people. Right now, Project Hope is training healthcare workers to care for infants during those fragile first moments of life. Project Hope is ensuring communities have the medicines and supplies they need to prevent deadly disease, giving precious newborns a healthy start. Wherever they are, everyone deserves hope. Make sure her first day of life is not her last. To volunteer or learn more about Project Hope's life-saving work, visit projecthope.org/newborns.
Lock the door.
Special report, coronavirus update. 478 people have died of COVID-19 in New York Sunday, a decrease of 29 from the day before. Governor Andrew Cuomo says there's still no way to predict when the state will turn the corner.
Does it take 2 weeks for it to come down? Some projections say that. Does it take a month? Some projections say that. And again, the projections are nice, but I wouldn't bet the farm on them.
There are now almost 762,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci tells ABC's Good Morning America there's no guarantee that people who have recovered from the coronavirus now have immunity.
There's an assumption, a reasonable assumption, that when you have an antibody that you are protected against reinfection. But that has not been proven for this particular virus.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 216 points. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork. When you need in-demand talent on demand. The crash at Sahara at Fort Apache now in the final clearing stage. You can still avoid delays in the area. Use an alternate like North Lake or Grand Canyon Drive. Also a crash on Craig Road eastbound at I-15. This one was blocking 2 right lanes approaching I-15. Stay to the left to get by or take an alternate like Cheyenne. And also an accident reported on 95 northbound at MLK at the exit ramp, not blocking the through lanes. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Maybe you can relate to this. A lot of people think they're stuck with their health plan. It costs too much, or for whatever reason, they just don't like it. But great news, you are not stuck with it. There is a choice. It's called MediShare, and you could save so much. The typical savings for a family is $500 a month. Major difference maker. This is the affordable alternative to health insurance. And just to give you a little more info about MediShare, it's a Christian healthcare sharing ministry. It's worked beautifully for 26 years, has more than 400,000 members, and they've shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills. So yes, they can help share your needs too. So you're not stuck. There's an excellent alternative, whether you're single or married, you got a family. MediShare is super flexible. You can choose an option that works for you and start saving lots of money. You can join anytime. They're great to talk to. No pressure. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. I know we got a lot of people waiting on hold. We'll get to your calls here in just a moment. Sit tight, folks. My opinion hasn't changed. I truly believe all these people that are protesting, not just in Vegas, but throughout the country, are a bunch of morons and selfish idiots that are putting our health at risk. I want to go to a Trump advisor, speaking of idiots, his name is Stephen Moore. I want you to listen to what he compared these protesters to. It is some of the most disgusting verbiage I've ever heard in my life. Listen to this. This is Trump advisor, and I know Trump only hires the best. Stephen Moore, ladies and gentlemen, here he is.
We're going to see a lot more of those. In Ohio, we saw more protests today. I'm working with a group in Wisconsin that wants to do a drive-in. So, you remember the old sit-ins, but this is going to be a drive-in. They're going to shut down the Capitol. Shh, don't tell anybody. But they think they can get 1,500 people to come in. And this is great. You guys will. So we have one big donor in Wisconsin. I'm not going to mention his name. And I told him about this. He said, Steve, I promise I will pay the bail and legal fees for anyone who gets arrested. So this is a great time, gentlemen and ladies, for civil disobedience. We need to be the Rosa Parks here and protest against these government injustices.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump advisor Stephen Moore just compared Rosa Parks to some of these protesters. It is one of the dumbest, and by the way, I can name you quite a few, one of the dumbest comments that anybody in Donald Trump's cabinet has made. JD, you can't possibly defend that statement.
He said we need to be the Rosa Parks here. Like, we need to be like Rosa Parks.
Yeah, and he made the reference to some of these protesters and getting out there and protesting.
What are they protesting?
So you're comparing it to, you think it's
okay.
I'm
asking what they're protesting.
And I'm asking you, are you okay with that statement?
They want America to open back up. They want their jobs back. They want their lives back.
You're comparing that to African Americans and the atrocities.
They think this is an overreaction. I'm saying he said we need to be like Rosa Parks.
So he's comparing the coronavirus to slavery.
Rosa Parks protested, right? He's just saying there's two
African Americans are not allowed to sit on certain parts of the bus.
I'm not comparing it to anything.
And I'm asking you,
I'm just saying they're both protesters.
So you're comparing the two.
Rosa Parks was a protester, and these protesters who are protesting to get the country back open and their jobs back are also protesters. Are they on the same level? Obviously, with the type of protest, of course not. No, that's a different animal. But you're taking it way out of context here. All he's saying is we
Taking
need,
it out of
we need to be like Rosa
I
Parks.
used his own words.
There was no context.
No,
He said he exactly said
we need
what
to
we just
we
talked
need to
about.
be the Rosa Parks here, which means we need to be like Rosa Parks here.
Atrocious
and
thing to say.
protest,
Look,
which is exactly what's going on.
There's been no shortage whatsoever of idiotic things that Stephen Moore has said. Okay, look, the guy has some smarts when it comes to economic sides of things. When I don't question that. I don't want to call it expertise, but he's well versed in that. But when it
outrageous.
comes to statements like this, there's no way that
Idiotic.
you can possibly defend it.
Yeah, idiotic. Why don't we compare Martin Luther King to Donald Trump while we're at it? Donald Trump was, by the way, asked Friday about what he thought about these protests, and anybody who had any leadership qualities at all would put his own feelings aside and say, listen, we need to practice social distancing, yada, yada, yada. Here was Trump's response.
I believe that was yesterday.
Here was Trump's response in regards to these protesters. Have a listen to this.
No, these are people expressing their views. I see where they are, and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me, but it's they've been treated a little bit rough.
So his definition of responsible are people that are not abiding by his own administration's guidelines. Mr. President, that makes complete sense. The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 702-257-5396. Let's start off with Peter. Peter, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Peter?
Yeah, Brian, JD. Hey, listen, in response to all the elderly who are dying in care facilities that I heard on the news this morning, listen, before I go any further, don't shoot the messenger. Just mentioning this. So, have you been pacing the floor lately, waiting for that inheritance check to show up in the mail, thinking, damn, you just can't kill these old broads? Well, now you might be a good time.
Are you really making a joke? Excuse me. Are you making a joke about the elderly dying of
We
the
just said
coronavirus?
don't shoot the messenger, but what is your message? Is this your message? I don't understand
Why are you
the reason
starting
why
off,
you went behind that.
Why are you starting off this call making a joke about
Yeah,
the
I'm very
elderly
confused.
passing away? Can you please explain that to all the listeners?
Well, no, I'm not making a joke.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're talking about trying to wait for an inheritance check because somebody in your family, that's in reference to somebody in your family, you're waiting for them to die. That's not funny, sir. Were you one of the protesters out there?
Waiting for their unemployment check and their.
So you want to compare waiting on your unemployment check to somebody dying?
Security check.
What is wrong with you? Were you one of those people protesting? You sound like it.
Well, everyone's waiting for some kind of check, isn't it?
All right, well, I'm waiting for you to make your point. You have 5 seconds. I'm waiting for you to make your point. You have 5 seconds or I'm going to the next caller. Go.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Have a nice day, sir. Thank you for that wonderful joke about the elderly passing away. What a disgrace you are.
Yeah, not a great call.
I think I saw that guy protesting yesterday. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey, how are you guys? Listen, Brian, my question, you mentioned something about heat.
Yes.
I was just asking, do you order takeout and stuff like that? I mean, have you ordered takeout?
No, I mean, I cook morning, lunch, and dinner. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're that's good. You're a smart man. So do I. Okay, with the part of them not keeping distance while protesting, no common sense. Okay, it's partly common sense and partly trust. So the trust issue is I don't trust the takeout, but you mentioned heat too, and I gave in one day and got a pizza, and I thought, oh crap, I hope I don't catch anything because you don't know who's wearing gloves, but then again, you don't know how high the heat should be before it kills the virus.
Okay, but here's what we do know. Here's what we do know, Ron, and you can comment on this. Here's what we do know. Your president and my president, Donald Trump, okay, his guidelines specifically don't say anything about not ordering takeout food. What it does say is that you have to practice social distancing, which is 6 feet apart, and do not gather more than 10 people. So every single person across the country that had their little MAGA signs are disobeying the laws and the regulations and the advice of the president and his administration. You would agree with that, right?
Yes, absolutely. I just told you that I agree that was dumb. No common sense with the protesters. If they wanted to protest,
right,
they didn't even show that they were responsible enough to keep distance from each other.
Right.
So,
right.
You can't get what you want. I mean, if you
Well,
can't.
it's selfish, Ron. Ron, I'm sure you would agree. It's selfish. You're putting other people's lives at risk. These people are buffoons, and they think they're patriots. They're an opposite of it. You know who the real patriots are? The nurses, the doctors, the police officers, those in the front lines, and the really good Americans out there, the good Americans out there that are practicing social distance and they're in quarantine. Those are the patriots. These people are the opposite.
Absolutely, Brian. But I have to agree somewhat with you and somewhat with JD, because if we can't learn a responsibility, we're going to crash everything. The depression right now in this country is just utterly terrible.
Well, of course it's terrible, Ron. But Ron,
and Nevada's about to have the highest unemployment rate since the Great Depression
and we
of any state, because our 80% of our economy depends on tourism, and tourists not only can they not go to their own favorite businesses, but they can't even get on an airplane and go anywhere. I mean, they can't go, they can't travel anywhere. They can't come to Las Vegas.
I can't reiterate this enough, guy. And to the caller, Ron, and to JD. I mean, look, we are all in this together. It's not as if just the protesters out there are the ones that are dealing with this. Okay, all of us in this country are dealing with this. All of us, okay?
Yep.
And by the way, I'm the one that speaks the truth about this most that's on this show right now, because I'm only a part-time person. I'm a very appreciative, a contributor and co-host here at the Vegas Take.
Right.
But I am one of those people, okay, that works my regular job on the Las Vegas Strip, okay? So I can weigh in on this and say and speak for thousands of people who say, hey, we all are in this boat. We all want to be able to open up society, okay? But the fact of the matter is this. There are people out there protesting, and those people out there protesting, I'm going to add on to what Brian and JD, what you guys are talking about, as far as the protesters, as far as breaking laws or disobeying orders. Let me tell you something. Those people are doing that. They also are disrespecting what we have been doing for over 5 weeks here in Las Vegas and across the country when it comes to social distancing and stay-at-home orders. It is absolutely making it irrelevant what we've been doing for 5 weeks.
And Chris, let me ask you this though. I mean, you work for.
I work for a restaurant on the Strip.
Yeah, but for Sands though. Right?
No, I work for a private company. I work for a private company that has a restaurant bar in a Las Vegas casino.
And your company,
there's a number of people like us.
And your company has chosen to pay you for X amount of weeks.
No, they have not. Look, my personal situation financially is neither here nor there.
I'm just saying, if there was a situation where you were furloughed and you were waiting on a check, and it was backed up 2 to 3 weeks, I feel like your tone would be a lot different than it is now, Chris.
It's not about my personal tone, JD. It's about the situation that we all, as Las Vegans, all of us as Nevadans, and all of us as Americans are in right now. We're all in the same situation. And look, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, and I know that we have time constraints.
This is kind of a tangent.
This is something, okay, that should not be, it shouldn't be political. It shouldn't even be political. It has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, because we're all in this together.
Tell Jeremy
we're all under the same type of situation. And you're going to bring up one reporter, okay, one reporter in a press conference.
Tell Paula Reed.
Okay. So
tell Jonathan Carl.
So people
I can keep going,
from
bro.
mainstream media.
Tell you Michelle Cinder.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that now. We're gonna get into the weeds there on as far as the press conferences, JD. Really about how the reporters are being agitating towards the president, and the president is doing a great job in it, because we can get into that. I know we can, and we're about to probably on the show. Look, here's the thing. We're all in the same situation.
Here's the thing. We got a
Democrat.
full board. I need to get to the phone calls. Is it okay with you guys if we get back to the phone calls?
Absolutely.
I just want to make my point, Brian.
I understand that, but
100%.
we can't go on 10-minute tangents.
Honestly,
both
Chris,
Oh,
of you.
you made a very good point.
All right, 702-25, and I don't want to. As much as I would love to.
Yes, I did.
As much as I would love to talk about Chris Wynn's financial situation for 3 hours, I do want to get to the phone calls. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Scott. Scott, you're next on the Vegas Take. See, Scott, it's your fault, Chris.
Are you saying that Chris, you saying this scared away?
It's your fault.
Hey, Brian.
I'm furloughed, bro.
Quick tangent, Brian, but why?
Can we go back to the phone calls? Let's go on another tangent. That's great.
It's very quick. It's a very quick.
Yeah,
it's
we'll
just
lose
a question.
some more callers. Go
now,
ahead.
if this virus does survive in heat, why is it not ravaging Africa?
All right, there's no credible evidence that the heat or the temperature anywhere has anything to do with disseminating this virus, right?
No.
Or destroying this virus. There's no evidence. So can you please, the callers as well as others, please stop talking about that? It's not true.
All right, 702-257-5396. Scott is back. Scott, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Scott?
Hey, I'm kind of with JD on this, on the social distancing, because a lot of the retailers and stuff, it's about a week and a half since they down.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, before that, I mean, there was a limited number of places the population here in Vegas could shop. I mean, the entire community was shopping at Costco and Walmart and Sam's Club, and we're all in there shoulder to shoulder, bumping elbows.
Not true.
No, very true.
No,
Brian,
not true.
there was a line at
Not
Costco,
true.
1,140 people long at one point,
Okay.
and they were like maybe 1 foot away from each other.
Okay, so
You had 10 to 20,000 people going through these stores every single day, and this virus sticks to the bottom of your shoe.
go ahead, Chris. Respond to that.
Okay, to the caller,
Hold on,
and
caller.
to both JD and Brian, are we not expected to exercise social distancing guidelines in stores? I don't care if it's Walmart, Costco, Smith's, Walgreens. Isn't that the expectation, is that we're supposed to be exercising social distancing?
But
Brian, yes.
what he is,
Okay, then
what the caller is saying
doesn't make any sense.
What the caller is saying is that did not start until a
What do
couple
you
of
mean?
weeks ago.
It's been in place
No,
for
no,
over
when
5
this-
weeks,
when-
right? In Nevada?
no.
Social distancing.
The actual,
guidelines
I'm talking the actual. When you walk into Target, there's a sticker that says 6 feet. On the loudspeaker, they're telling you stay within 6
so
feet.
let me respond
They're
to that.
closing early.
Let me
You
respond
go to
to that. Put
Albertsons,
this to
they've
bed.
got a maximum occupancy of 150.
let me
All
respond
that
to
just
that.
started 2 weeks ago.
First of all,
there was 3 weeks
let me
before
respond
that,
to that.
where there was nothing like that taking place.
5 weeks ago, the president and his administration and all these governors put in place very strict social distancing guidelines. Now, do I doubt that there are some situations where maybe some people are behaving irresponsibly in some of these supermarkets or at Costco? Sure, I'm sure that happens. But that is not an excuse for somebody like that doofus who just called in and said, let's just, I don't understand it. People aren't practicing social distancing here, so let's just open everything up. Let's forget about social distancing.
What doofus?
It is ridiculous.
What doofus?
The point that he was trying to make, that last call, the point
Why
he
is
was
he?
trying.
All he's saying is that for several weeks, none of this stuff was taking place, and the virus.
Not true. Not
and
true.
The
That's
yes,
not
it
true.
is. It is
No,
true.
it's not.
It is true.
Oh,
Brian,
so you're in every supermarket in Las
I
Vegas.
experienced it myself.
You're in every
for-
Costco in Las
not
Vegas.
every single one.
Because in a couple
but
of Costco's, you saw a couple
I
people not
experienced
practicing
it
social distance.
for
So you know what
for
everybody's
3
doing.
weeks straight when everybody was very, very close to each other. Now
This is so
now,
irresponsible.
no, it's not. No,
Yes, it
no.
is.
The last 2 weeks, it has been different. But there was 3 weeks there where it was not.
For 5 weeks, it's been implemented, the social
No,
distancing.
Brian,
So
it
because
is
a couple
not.
people
It
at
has
Costco
not.
aren't practicing it,
Brian,
you just
we
open everything up.
literally
That's
have.
insane.
You don't even know what you're talking about right
No, I
now.
know exactly what I'm talking
You're
about.
literally just screaming about nothing.
Oh, right.
The
really.
first
I'm
time,
screaming about nothing.
Brian, the
You do that every
first
day.
time we had this conversation in this place, I said, then why are there not limits to grocery stores? 50 to 100 people every single hour. I made that statement myself. What I'm saying is, Brian, every single person in here went to the grocery store at least once a week when all this started.
Well, you get to the
I'm saying the entire city was going to the grocery store when this first started. So if the virus was going to spread through the grocery store, if the virus was going to spread, it was going to happen then. What I'm saying is I think the virus has already spread because we didn't have
You think the virus has
strict,
already spread?
Yes, I absolutely do.
So you think we should just open everything up?
I think a lot of Las Vegas has antibodies to the virus.
Okay.
I think the virus got here a long time
All right,
ago.
doctor. So let me ask
No,
you.
I'm saying look at the entire West Coast. Don't call me a doctor.
Well, you're talking like a doctor.
No, California's
you know
cases.
anything about antibodies? Do you know anything?
California's cases are 29,000.
What do you know about
New York's
Because you
cases
read an article
are 280,000 right now.
Answer my question.
There's 10
All right.
times the cases
Can I talk now?
in California or in New York than California.
What the hell do you know about antibodies?
You gotta admit, JD, you do talk like a doctor sometimes.
I'm just explaining what's going on. I'm explaining the statistical differences predicated on the geographics of the country. That's all I'm doing.
I don't want to argue and yell.
And it's offending Brian.
No, it's
offending
offends
Brian.
me when you talk about things and I don't think you have any idea what the hell you're talking about. That's what offends me.
What are you talking about?
There are people's lives at stake, and you have been undermining this virus for a month.
I have not been undermining anything.
Have.
No, I have not.
Really? You're not?
No.
So you don't think
I'm
just up?
I'm
talking about antibodies. You have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I'm not.
You just brought up antibodies.
Yeah, I'm saying an antibody. Do you know what that is, Brian?
Yes, I do know
What
this,
is it?
But you know what I won't say?
What?
I won't say that there are people in Nevada and the virus is gone.
That means that you got the virus. We'll call it in January or December.
How do you know who got the virus in the state?
And you got over the virus. So your body builds antibodies to the virus, which is the whole point of the antibody test.
How do you know?
That's what all these different.
You don't even let me talk.
Well, you're asking me. I just answer your question, Brian.
Okay,
all I'm saying is New York City. Look at New York City. Look at New York. Look at the entire state.
Give me more stats.
290,000 cases. Look at California, 30,000 cases.
Can you
New York has the population divided by two.
Okay, I want to get back to the
But they have 10 times the cases.
I want to get back.
I believe the virus got here in early winter. It spread through the West Coast, and a lot of Las Vegas has it. I actually think that, yes.
Doctor believes that. Okay,
I didn't say I was a doctor.
Let me ask the doctor another question. Do you know how many people in the state of Nevada have those antibodies? Do you have any idea how many people have either had the coronavirus that haven't been tested or have antibodies? Do you have any clue what that number is?
I said no, obviously.
Okay,
how would I? So
why are we talking about it then?
I'm saying that I think that the virus got here early.
You think?
A lot of people had it. I experienced something like the virus myself back in January, which I went over on the show several times.
I'm going to tell you something. I think it's very dangerous to abide by the rules and regulations of people that think like you that are not doctors.
Okay, well, Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx thought there would be 2.2 million people that died of this virus.
If we didn't practice
there's going to be maybe 60,000 people that die of this virus, and 22 million are going to be unemployed, bro. And that's going to translate to so many more deaths and so much more carnage economically and personally than the death toll would ever translate to.
Let's go back to the calls. 702-257-5396. Max, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Max?
Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you for the call, Max. We appreciate it. 702-257-5396.
Max, that's a great call.
Who's our next caller? Let's go to Deacon. Deacon, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Deacon?
Hey guys, did you watch there's a video on YouTube by Dr. Fauci that he had the thing went back in 6 years for Wuhan laboratory, giving out money to check on the coronavirus. Did you watch that, Brian?
No, I didn't watch it. But I do have a feeling. I have a feeling you watch InfoWars every day. I do have that feeling.
No, actually, the United States has been giving money to that virus for a long time, Brian. And Anthony Fauci is very aware of what takes place there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you watched that video on YouTube about Dr. Fauci about 5 years ago. Your boy Obama.
Not my boy Obama. Did I vote? Excuse me, sir. Now you just said something ignorant. All right, pod this guy down. Don't hang up on him, but pod him down. Okay, dumbass. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. Okay, so when you say your boy Barack Obama, you sound like a dummy. That's number one. Number two. I voted for Mitt Romney. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. So when you say Barack Obama's your boy, you sound like an idiot. So when I pod you back up, would you like to rephrase that, and then I will allow you to make your stupid point about Fauci? Would you like to retract it by saying Obama is my boy? Because you have no idea what my opinions are, Barack Obama. You just assume because I don't like Donald Trump, I must be an Obama lover. So would you like to start over with this phone call, sir?
Yeah, he didn't vote, by the way.
Would you like to start over with the phone call, sir? Yeah, what a shocker. He's gone. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. I cannot stand people who bring up Barack Obama and say, your boy Obama, just because I don't like Donald Trump. It's absurd. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Yeah, well, you may not like this either, but for Brian, I'm just shocked that you even get out of bed in the morning with all the risks once you get out of bed that you face, from being a pedestrian to driving in a car to everything
So you're
else.
comparing driving in a car
I'm
to not
comparing
practicing
this.
social
Nevada's
distance in a
been shut
protest. Is
down
that what
for
you're doing,
30
sir?
days. 0.5% of the population has passed. That's terrible.
That's not true.
Right.
That's an
It's a
incorrect.
month.
First of
If-
all, that's an incorrect stat. Second of all, you're comparing protesters and people not practicing social distance to people getting in their car and waking up in the morning. It is an ignorant analogy. Would you like to say anything else?
Wait,
sir?
what's the incorrect stat? Brian, one in 1,000 in the state have this virus right now, Brian. One in 1,000.
Paul, I didn't hear what you said. Go ahead.
It's a month has passed. It's time.
A month has passed. It's time. Okay,
open
now,
up. It's easy
Dr.
for-
Paul.
you're
Dr.
getting
Paul.
a paycheck, sir. You continue.
So
to get
for the
your
people that are not,
paycheck.
so Paul, your argument is because people are not getting paychecks, we should open up. Don't
That's
worry about.
part of it.
Excuse
No,
me,
that's
hold on.
part of it.
You don't think the doctors and the
consider that.
you don't even think the No, I'll tell you who I'm considering. Certainly not people like you. I'm considering the doctors and the health professionals when they deem it healthy and safe for us to be out there. That's who I'm listening to, sir. I'm not going by people that are getting.
Again, problem. The doctors and the health officials are not thinking about the economy at the same time.
No, they're thinking about our lives.
You have to
which is
think
more
about. You
important.
have to think about minimizing. I've said this literally 50 times. You have to think about minimizing deaths, minimizing economical damage, and maintaining country morale.
Yeah, you're thinking about money, and I'm
that's
thinking
what you.
about lives.
I'm thinking about everything combined.
No, you're not thinking about
Of
lives.
course I am,
No, you're not.
Brian.
No, you're not.
400,000 people unemployed in Las Vegas or in Nevada will
None of you on this show ever talked about the people that
lead
died.
to significantly more deaths than 140.
No.
Yes, it will.
No.
It absolutely will.
You know what you're...
It 1,000% will. Yes, it will.
You know what your comparison
Yes,
Trump
it will.
is? I'll tell you what your comparison...
When you lose your job, you lose a lot.
I'll tell you what, it's sad.
And not only that, you lose your job, and you're sitting at home.
It's sad.
You're drinking, or maybe you have a substance abuse problem, which is 22 million people in the United States. No, I'm saying that's part of it.
Okay, well, here's another.
There's people right now that are at home that used to have a job, that used to have drug tests for their job, that can't go to a meeting, that sit at home. They're getting paid by the government to sit at home, and they're using that money most likely to relapse on drugs. A lot of that is taking place, Brian. There's a lot of mental angst as well that comes with losing your job. There's a lot of relationship stress that comes with losing your job. Do you have any kids? If you had 2 kids at home, I'm sure you'd be thinking something different as well, Brian. You have to factor that in. Now your kids can't go to school.
Can I comment now? Thank you. Here's a similarity that you have with Donald Trump, and it's sad that I have to say this because every day when I come on this show, I talk about the over 40,000 people that have died. Let me finish. I know you're ready to interrupt.
That number is wrong.
There he goes, interrupting me again. Let's see if we can go 30 seconds with me not being interrupted if I say something that he doesn't like. Something that Donald Trump does that I notice that you do as well. Yeah, you talk about the economy, you talk about money, you talk about the unemployed. You know what I like talking about? And it's sad that I have to talk about this.
Lives.
There you go again. I'm talking about the innocent people that have lost their lives and the families that are mourning. And all you want to do is you want to bring up the economy, and you want to bring up drug addiction, and you want to bring up, let's bring our country back. But something the president didn't do yesterday that Vice President Mike Pence had to do. You know what he did? Thoughts and prayers for those who have lost their lives and the families of loved ones. We forget about that, and I think you forget about that.
Trump does that every single press conference.
No, he doesn't.
Brian.
You're absolutely wrong.
He does not.
He does that every single
Mike
press
Pence,
conference.
in fact, the vice
he
president
talks about the
is usually
scourge.
the one that's
He
taking
talks about
JD.
the virus. He talks about all the damage that has been caused to everything.
JD, so
he
you
does it
think-
every single press conference,
JD,
Brian.
so you think Donald Trump shows empathy and actually does mention those that have passed away and mentions the fact that we passed 40,000 deaths yesterday?
I've never
because that is absolutely false.
I've never
Donald Trump
endorsed.
never does that.
I've never
It's
endorsed
Mike Pence that
his
does it.
consistent empathy, but one empathetic situation.
There's no such thing
I know.
as
I've
incons- you
no,
either
no,
have
no. I'm
empathy
saying I've
or you
never.
don't have
I've
empathy.
never.
There's no such thing as inconsistent empathy.
You didn't hear me. I said I didn't. And I've never endorsed his consistent empathy. You didn't hear me, Chris. Don't react unless you actually hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
That being said, last
What
week,
does consistent empathy mean?
last week, I'm saying he's not a generally empathetic person across the board. He isn't, and I admit that.
That's obvious.
Okay, fine.
All right.
So now you can pat yourself on the back. That'll make you happy.
So if I could
That being said,
myself on the back. You said
that being said,
consistently. I don't know what that means.
last week he did say the hardest day of his life was when he found out, or when he was under the impression that the United States did not have enough ventilators.
I remember that, and
That was empathetic,
But
Chris.
JD, let's be honest, that's Donald Trump off the cuff. That's not his. It's not like he hardcore means that.
All right, I got to take a break. Coming up next, I'd like to continue to comment on this, but we'll have more time in hour number 2. Coming up next, the mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman. Why is she calling some of Sisolak's decisions insane? We're going to ask her that coming up next live. It's Mayor Carolyn Goodman right here on the Vegas Take.
Paid for by Bank on Yourself.
Have you been putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or an investment account? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. You've seen what's happening in the market. This is clearly no time to gamble. Can you really afford to lose any more of your retirement savings? Hey, here's the good news. You don't have to lose another penny because there's a better, safer way to save for retirement. And you can learn all about it in a free report. This is the report Wall Street desperately hopes you'll never see. Why? Because this method continues to grow your money, even when the market tumbles, just as it's done for more than 160 years. And it gives you tax-free and penalty-free access to your savings. These are treacherous times, and now, more than ever, you can't afford to take one wrong step. So get the
The United States, Mexico, and Canada are extending restrictions on non-essential travel across their shared borders for an additional 30 days. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 252 points, the S&P down 15. I'm Ann Cates. Hard-hit New York is starting to see some declines, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo.
The total change in hospitalizations, you see that it's been going down. The 3-day average of hospitalizations is going down. Number of intubations is down again. That is great news. Not down as much as yesterday, but down.
Cuomo is also calling for hazard pay for healthcare workers and other frontline responders. Beaches in Jacksonville, Florida have reopened with social distancing rules in place. Mayor Lenny Curry says he's considering how to get the resort town up and running.
I will make decisions based on conversations with the science, the doctors, and how we get back to work in a way to mitigate risk and encourage people to practice the behaviors that we need to practice.
The U.S. has almost 762,000 cases of COVID-19, with the death toll approaching 41,000. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork when you need in-demand talent on demand. A crash reported on Craig Road eastbound at I-15, blocking 2 right lanes. Still a factor near the clearing stage. Expect slowing or take an alternate route like Cheyenne Avenue. And a hit-and-run accident investigation underway at Land Boulevard at Las Vegas Boulevard. Use Alexander to get around. Also a crash on 95 northbound MLK at the exit ramp, not blocking the through lanes. And Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
This is a story of the numbers that make your water flow. 90% of our water comes from Lake Mead, traveling through 6,500 miles of pipeline. Your water is treated thoroughly, analyzed nearly 300,000 times a year, and monitored 24/7 by experts, all to ensure your water meets or surpasses the highest quality standards on its way to the place that matters most, your tap. For objective information about water quality and in-home treatment systems, visit snwa.com. The SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us live on a Monday. Sure, a lot of people in Las Vegas and throughout the state of Nevada, they want to know, when can they go back to work? When are things reopening? As you know, Governor Sisolak has us in quarantine until at least minimum May 1st. So joining us on the line right now, we had Oscar Goodman on the phone last week. He comes on the show all the time. I love Oscar, and I told him I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And, of course, his wife, Carolyn Goodman, who is the mayor of Las Vegas, and she was nice enough to take some time to join us now. Mayor Goodman, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm fine, and I love my husband. I hope you had a good time with him. He's just hysterical and kept my life happy and wonderful.
Yeah, Oscar certainly is the best, and he said beef, booze, and broads dinner on him next time. Once this is all over with.
I did say that.
So, Carolyn, I appreciate he did say that. Carolyn, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, a lot of serious questions to ask you, but I want to start off with this. It's a loaded question, and you had said that Sisolak's, in quarantine till the 1st, that you quoted it as insane. Can you please elaborate on that? Tell us what you mean by that, and what is your solution to this issue?
Well, of course, I didn't say I had a solution, so let me go to the back part first. And the reality is why I particularly chose that, and having been here all these years and watched us grow from a town of 75,000 to 2.3 million and become a world-recognized entertainment, sports, convention place that was not broken. the reason our hotels and everything in Southern Nevada in our industry of hospitality has been so successful and continuing to be so is because our rooms are clean, our kitchens are clean, we inspect them, there are laws. We're about making sure we are always on top of everything. And when I said it was insane, number one, it was because it wasn't broken. And yes, horrible. This disease, horrible. I lived through the polio epidemic, and most of your listeners weren't even alive then, where people were crippled. They had no idea, or they lost their lives, and they had no idea what caused it, how to prevent it, how to treat it, or it took till 1955 before the Salk vaccine was developed.
Right.
And we've been through the Nile, the SARS, the bird flu, the swine flu, Ebola. There's so many, and we've never closed down Nevada or Las Vegas.
Sure.
I am not in the business to make judgment on any state or any community except our own. Number one, as soon as we found out this was a senior-focused disease, virus, killer, all efforts should have gone into every single senior facility and every public senior facility to make them aware and to give them whatever support. As far as our first responders, they do this every day of their lives. They're in the hospitals, they're in the emergency rooms, they're across our community taking care of emergency medical issues. They are the best, the nurses, the technicians, our doctors, their management.
Sure.
And so to single them out at this point, yes, we owe them everything. And
Absolutely.
yes, every light lost. But the key is this was not broken. What has happened, as of the end of January, we had 15,000 homeless children. With this shutdown, every middle income or lower income individual who relies on the hospitality industry to pay their bills and feed their families
Mayor,
are
no,
out of work.
Mayor, I understand.
And that's it. That was the insanity.
Okay, no,
you
listen.
have to look at the whole. You don't take a big paintbrush and paint the whole
No, I
canvas
understand.
black.
Okay, but Mayor, I understand what you're saying, and a lot of what you said, especially with the first responders and I totally agree with you. But here's the thing: the situation, and I know you know this. The president and his administration are talking. There's a reason why social distancing is in place right now, because we don't know how many asymptomatic people are out there. I'm sure you would agree we don't have enough testing. So with that being said, no matter how clean a room is or a bed is, you of all people, you know this, Mayor, you can still get the virus from somebody that may be asymptomatic. So with that,
out in the air, the West Nile virus came from mosquitoes. Dr. Fauci, who's the number one lead for the country on this very, very virus, has said, we don't know if it's going to be controlled in a month, in 3 months, by the end of the year, and if it's not going to come back every year. We have the flu every year. Seniors and elderly people, they have compromised bodies. That's what happens when you get old, and I'm old. I cannot run around the block like I used to when I was 25.
well, not according to your husband. That's not what he told me.
But the reality is, we are susceptible, and I always remember as a child growing up my fear for my grandparents that if they fell, they would break a hip, they'd go to the hospital, and once they're in the hospital with a broken hip, they get pneumonia and they die. And so the fear and the love that everybody has for their parents and their grandparents is, you can't even measure it. It's a tragedy to lose any of them.
But Mayor, you understand.
Kill the whole economy and put out more children out on the street because their parents no longer have jobs. They are in week-to-week paychecks. And we're looking idly down there at the small businessman who has his life saving or her life saving and has become an esthetician, a barber, has a little tavern. And we're just summarily closing them down when they weren't broken. And they knew, because we inspect them, there are laws, there are licenses that they have to keep up, and we're out there. There's a lady named Darcy Spears who has a program, and
She comes on our show every week, yes.
Looking for cockroaches, and I'm sorry to give another channel or anybody else to go. But this is a community that we have worked so hard to build, and you can't take a paintbrush and paint, I'm not talking any other state. We alone, our premier industry is hospitality.
I
And it's
understand.
not broke.
Listen, there's no question that you're right. Local businesses are suffering. Local people are suffering. I don't doubt that, Mayor. I guess I'm going around in a circle here, but I'll ask you the same thing. If the doctors and the scientists are saying it's still not safe to be out there, what would you rather have? Somebody who loses their job or somebody who loses their life?
Excuse me. Sorry. Not going there. I have doctors telling me differently. I have doctors, and I'm not going to hang them out there. I have people out there saying, with proper, as you raise your children, if you have children, if you raise your children, you put them in school, and in kindergarten they come home with every germ, and it goes right through your whole family, and you're all down, usually with the flu or some derivative thereof. You do not stop living, and you do not take a paintbrush and paint everything awful. What's happened in this country, though, is we have become so polarized between this Democratic and Republican garbage that everybody's so full of anger and hate and entitlement, and that is wrong. This is about pulling together, being wise, being smart, and not killing this community, of which I happen to have a small role in, and the governor, and I defer to him. I wouldn't want his position. It is a terribly difficult, challenging, horrible decision to have to make. He's doing his best. I have always said to him, please open the economy. It wasn't broken. These people need to live and have a paycheck to buy groceries, take care of their family, and have a roof over their heads. How about all these people who are demanded to stay home and they don't have a home? Where are they supposed to stay? They're going to be part of our homeless population. They're living in somebody's car in close quarters. So we're not helping anybody. We need our economy open and healthy. And that's what Las Vegas does. That's why we have all these conventions. That's why we have all these people wanting to come here. That's why we are now a home for Major League Sports. And that's why everybody loves Las Vegas. It kills me. My heart breaks for everyone we've lost. And our doctors and nurses and technicians and custodial staff that are helping to keep our hospitals healthy and clean in this pandemic, they've been doing this their whole lives. What do you think they're doing? All of a sudden, they're running into the hospitals? No, they got us through 1 October. They've gotten us through every other flu case.
But I'm sure you would agree it's not, Mayor, I'm sure you would agree it's not your position that we should be having conventions right now, right? Because I know you mentioned, I'm sure you would agree right now is probably not the time for that, right?
I'm not going to go to that spot because what I'm about, and if I get off and go other places talking with you, and pardon me because I am very passionate.
No, that's fine.
As you should be.
And you have no idea. I have 3 full-time staff here, and all they do all the time is answer calls from panicked, distressed people who can't earn a living, who can't get through to get a loan and unemployment. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we were at 300,000 people trying to get into the unemployment area, and we're more closer to 900,000.
No, and I respect that, Mayor. I respect that. I said I respect that a great deal.
If you're respecting it, there has to be a way to get started.
But
we need a plan, and that's all I've asked.
But Mayor, I don't think it's that simple, Mayor. And by the way, I'm a co-host on the show, but my full-time job is actually on the Strip in hospitality. So this is something that strikes right to me and to thousands of other workers on the Las Vegas Strip. And look, I have a simple question for you, and that's this. And look, it's all due respect to you, but who are you listening to when you're making statements that you're saying that's insanity, that we're not opening? Who are the public officials? Who are the people that you are taking advice from when you have that perspective?
I love your question. Let's go to the very top that everybody hears. Dr. Fauci, when he said there are variations to this virus, that we don't know if we're going to see a dip. We don't know if it's going to be here in 1 month, 3 months, through the end of the year.
Right.
If it's not going to be, this is Dr. Fauci.
But right. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci's,
wait,
but Ms. Mayor, Dr. Fauci's on board with shutting the country down, though.
No, you can't shout me on this because Dr. Fauci is the guru.
Exactly.
And he is saying it could be here through December.
But he's on board. Dr. Fauci's on board, though, with us having the country closed down. He's on board with that.
But, Doctor, when you ask who's telling me, I went to the very top that everybody's listening to. Whether he's good, bad, or indifferent, that's not my call. He's the man, and he's telling us it could be through December. You keep us in quarantine or restrictions and don't let the private sector open up and put our people back to work. The results are insanity of what it's going to do to this place. Total insanity.
I totally agree with you on that. I also think that the paycheck protection program not being extended, that extra $250 billion will have a lot of poor effects on the small business that you mentioned as well.
350 million swallowed up in hours. There's nothing left. What are these people? We started off in January with 15,000 homeless children. What about these children now that won't have a roof over their heads and they're quarantined to home? What home? What home are you going to put more than 15,000 kids in? And who's going to feed them, pray tell? Their parents are out of work and desperate and calling this office, and we have no power to change anything.
How high do you think that the unemployment in Las Vegas could possibly get if we stayed shut until, we'll say, June 1st?
May I tell you, we had born and raised in this city a fabulous statistician whose name is Jeremy Aguero. You want to get some facts and estimations based on facts, not hearsay and made-up garbage, which is what we always listen to.
Right.
Ask Jeremy Aguero.
Mayor Goodman, I want to play you a little bit of audio, if I may, from yesterday's press conference. It was Las Vegas Review-Journal White House correspondent Deborah Saunders. She asked the president to comment on Governor Sisolak's closures, and you were mentioned in this as well. I just want to play this audio for you, Mayor, if I may, and then I want you to comment on it. Here it is.
Well, they shut one of my hotels down, too. Okay, so, I'm not involved in that. I could be if I wanted to. I just chose not to be. By the way, just so you know, I could be if I wanted to, but I chose not. But they closed a very big hotel that I have in Nevada down in Las Vegas. It's a very severe step he took. I'm okay with it. But, you could call that one either way. I know the mayor's very upset with it. Some owners are very upset with it. Some of the developers out there are very upset. Others, they say, "Hey, we got to get rid of it." I can see both sides of that.
So, Mayor Goodman, your thoughts on that?
I love that the president has a plan. Open America again, I think it's called, but I'm not sure. He has a plan. He has hope. He has something for all of these private small business people and barbers and estheticians and everybody have a plan of hope so they can open again and feed their families. And so I'm so positive, and I was so proud that he said, and I'm going to give it back to each governor because every state's different. Nevada I grew up in the heart of Manhattan. I rode subways to work every day. I was on buses. You can't get away from people. You go up to your apartment, you're in an elevator with 10 people. You can't get away from people in New York City. Nevada.
Mayor, I know.
New York City is 5 boroughs, 12 million people. The whole state of New York, is 12 million people in the 5 boroughs and 20 million in the state.
Mayor, I know that
Nevada is 3 million people.
Sure.
And this is different. We are entirely focused on hospitality and unskilled workers.
No, I understand that.
Not fair.
Mayor, I understand that. Mayor, listen, if I can just say this, I know that your heart is in the right place, and I appreciate you for being as passionate as you are. I've always said you had very similar characteristics to your husband when it comes to that. I know you both love this city, and I know you love the people in this city. With that being said, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong on this one. I have been highly critical of the people that have been protesting throughout the country. Let's just focus on Las Vegas for this reason. They're not practicing social distance. They're putting other people in harm's way. We don't know if they're asymptomatic. And Mayor, quite frankly, I think it's very irresponsible of our citizens to not abide by the rules and regulations that our president and his administration have put into place. So my question to you is, what do you make of these protesters, and what would you say to those protesters that are not practicing social distance?
From my earliest youth, I was taught to believe that this is the United States of America. And a lot of people sacrificed their lives so that we could be alive today and free. The First Amendment says freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the right to assemble. Do I blame them for their passion? Their passion is because they're desperate. They are desperate people that don't have the dollars to pay their bills or feed their families. That's all that is an expression. Do you think each one of them didn't know by how they were raised that when you cough, you put your hand over your mouth or your head in your arm? Do you think these people don't care about good health and hygiene? But maybe they don't have a job anymore. And they are down at their knees, and everybody only has one voice, one opportunity. And they can't quarantine because they don't have an apartment or a place to live, for heaven's sakes. Doesn't anybody understand this? And I'm not speaking around this country. That's not my right. I am speaking here in the bully pulpit for Southern Nevada, and I am not even really entitled to do that. I can speak as mayor of Las Vegas, Nevada, that's known worldwide as a place to meet, have fun, and take care of business as it should be taken care of in a hospitable, legal, healthy manner. And that's all I'm allowed. I criticize no one, and I will not criticize those people who have gathered together saying, for heaven's sakes, let me work. They're not advocating for riots or anything. They're advocating for the right to go back and work and support their children.
Most of them are. I completely agree with you, and I didn't see any irresponsible signs in Las Vegas. There were some pretty bad signs that were written in other states. I'm not going to talk about that because that shouldn't concern you. You're here in Las Vegas. Let me ask you this. Do you think, with everything that you know, and I'm just asking for your opinion, Mayor, I know it's not your decision, do you think that the Strip will be open May 1st? What do you see happening down the road here as the mayor of Las Vegas? How do you see it from your opinion? And I know it's not going to be your ultimate decision. Do you think the Strip will open May 1st?
Not just the Strip, though.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is going to happen, Mayor? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask you.
Or what do you think should happen?
We have 155,000 hotel rooms. There are 20 minutes to get to the airport. They're minutes away from the I-15 from Southern California, the I-11 going to Arizona. We go clear across the country. Produce coming in from California is trying to get across this country to the people so they have food. They're throwing food away because the hotels and their restaurants aren't open. And the small businessman's restaurant is not open. They are being crippled. Our farmers in California are being crippled by this closure. My hope would be that the governor will see a way, with good reason, letting the private owner suggest the ways they want to open and they will protect society. That is my hope and prayer, that all of Southern Nevada, relying on the private business owner in a competitive world, will know that people aren't coming back to their hotel or their restaurant or their barbershop if in fact they're dirty or there's disease. Mm-hmm. So let the private sector, and my hope is my people here in the city of Las Vegas, they have their plans. The day it was shut down, they had plans of what they would do. Let them have the opportunity and get people back to take care of these children. Let's concentrate on keeping clean water and clean air and fixing our hospitals so they're better prepared the next time, because there will be a next time. How stupid of us to get in this argument of Democrats and Republicans and hate each other so much that we forgot to look at our hospitals and health care. And we are looking at our safety measures all the time in the city. And now, without our people being able to work and help pay their sales tax and their property tax, we don't have the money to do that as a public government.
Mm-hmm.
This is so far-reaching is why it's insanity. You do not put things in place unless you have a plan already in place to fix it or fund it.
Understood,
The
Mayor.
government of the United States cannot keep printing money and give it away.
I understand.
To support
Yep.
what's down and out, because eventually they won't be able to survive paying it back, and this is our country.
Mayor, let me just say this.
So far-reaching. I think you've had enough of me.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Let me tell you, there are no more answers, and I think you better talk to each other, because in truth, I mean, look what our Golden Knights are doing. Look what even our new Las Vegas Raiders and our WNBA and our Las Vegas Lights. Look at how everybody's jumping together and helping. Isn't
Absolutely.
it unreal what our city is doing?
I agree with you.
We
and
are the best.
the
We have
Knights,
always been the
all
best.
these organizations have donated so much money. The Knights, we've had their organization.
Oh my God, Three Square, Catholic Charities,
Mayor,
Salvation
no
Army.
question. Mayor, unfortunately, I'm up against a hard break, but I just want to thank you so much for your passion and answering all of our questions honestly. I appreciate you. I always have appreciated you and your husband. We hope we can have you on again down the road, but thank you so much for your time. It's such a busy, stressful time for you. I'm sure you're doing a good job, and we appreciate you coming on, Mayor Goodman. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, J.D. and Brian. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. There you go.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
It's Mayor Mayor Carolyn Goodman joining us on the line. We're going to have reaction to that when we come back. She's a very passionate lady. I certainly give her credit for that. I don't agree with everything she said. Let's break that down coming back. Your thoughts on my interview right there, our interview with Mayor Carolyn Goodman. 257-5396.
It was yours.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, your reaction to Carolyn Goodman. You're listening to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Sometimes you hear an idea or learn about a company and say, finally, it's about time. That's what I said when I met the team at Homey. With Homey, you get a local real estate expert and everything you expect with a traditional agent. Everything except those high fees and commissions. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average. Finally, you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Check out homey.com or just text JD to 88588 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average, and if you're buying a home, you'll save even more. Remember, you still get a 5-star experience with your local Homey agent and an easy-to-use app, all without the crazy commissions. Text JD to 88588 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Again, text JD to 88588. Finally, you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Homey's got your back.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hospitalizations are down in hard-hit New York. Governor Andrew Cuomo.
The emergency rooms were way over capacity. It was chaotic. It was hellish. And the emergency rooms are still at or over capacity, but it's better than it was.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci tells ABC's Good Morning America it's unknown if people who've recovered from COVID-19 have immunity.
I think it's a reasonable assumption, so you wouldn't say, that's an absurd idea. It isn't. I mean, it happens with other viruses. But we don't know how long that protection, if it exists, lasts. Is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year?
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is sliding down more than 300 points. The S&P 500 off 23. The Nasdaq down almost 10 points. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Learner Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork when you need in-demand talent on demand. A crash, injury sustained, reported on Pecos Road at Hacienda Avenue. Use an alternate like Tropicana or McLeod to avoid delays. Police and fire also on scene for an accident with injuries at Nellis at Lake Mead Boulevard. There you could avoid the slow and go by using Judson Avenue or Christie Lane instead. And no delays to reports on I-15 between the Spaghetti Bowl and Tropicana. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
This is a story of the numbers that make your water flow. 90% of our water comes from Lake Mead, traveling through 6,500 miles of pipeline. Your water is treated thoroughly, analyzed nearly 300,000 times a year, and monitored 24/7 by experts, all to ensure your water meets or surpasses the highest quality standards on its way to the place that matters most, your tap. For objective information about water quality and in-home treatment systems, visit snwa.com. The SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency.
Maybe you can relate to this. A lot of people think they're stuck with their health plan. It costs too much, or for whatever reason, they just don't like it. But great news, you are not stuck with it. There is a choice. It's called MediShare, and you could save so much. The typical savings for a family is $500 a month. Major difference maker. This is the affordable alternative to health insurance. And just to give you a little more info about MediShare, it's a Christian healthcare sharing ministry. It's worked beautifully for 26 years, has more than 400,000 members, and they've shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills. So yes, they can help share your needs too. So you're not stuck. There's an excellent alternative, whether you're single or married, you got a family. MediShare is super flexible. You can choose an option that works for you and start saving lots of money. You can join anytime. They're great to talk to. No pressure. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views Also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Visit GoForMe2.com. Like go, the number 4, me, the number 2.com. Pay to have items from essential businesses allowing online ordering delivered right to your door. Orders from Target, Walmart, Walgreens, Chick-fil-A, and 7-Eleven, just to name a few. GoForMe2.com is backed by a 100% refund policy and a $15 inconvenience fee if the order isn't successfully completed. It's go, the number 4, me, the number 2.com. GoForMe2.com. It's easy and backed by a 100% refund policy. Check out GoForMe2.com. That's go, the number 4, me, the number 2.com.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Don't miss the Trading Group Show, Sundays at noon on KDWN. Learn how you can earn a full-time income working from home as a trader. That's the Trading Group Show, Sundays at noon. The question line is 888-646-8787.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We just had a 25-minute live interview with Mayor Carolyn Goodman. At times, she got very emotional. At times, she got frustrated. There were questions that, she didn't want to answer, which is fine. I respect that. But there were some things she said that I disagree with. And there's probably some things that, a lot of things that, a lot of people would agree with.
And you were basically trying to get her to change her mind, which is
well, that's ridiculous. Never when I do an interview with anyone do I try to get them to change their mind. I ask them pressing questions, and if you consider asking someone a pressing question wanting to change their mind, I completely disagree with you. I'm not here to ask padded questions. It could be a liberal, it could be a Democrat or Republican. It is my job as the host of this radio show to ask difficult questions and pressing questions. And that is my problem with people out there that want to attack members of the media for going after Donald Trump. It's not gotcha questions. I didn't ask her any gotcha question. I asked her, what are your thoughts on the protesters? I asked her, when do you think things are going to reopen? I asked her about social distancing. I'm not trying to change her mind. I'm trying to get her thoughts and her opinions. And I think people that listen to that interview have a better understanding of where the mayor stands, quite frankly, and that's my job.
And make no mistake about it, right, JD and Brian, she is the ultimate advocate for our city here in Las Vegas, right? That is what she wanted to make abundantly clear.
I thought it was
in that
very
interview.
interesting that we did have a massive homeless problem well before any of this happened. How bad is that homeless problem going to get now with 400,000 people unemployed in the entire state? I can imagine that little community that you have very, very north past the stratosphere, I can imagine that is growing exponentially as we speak.
We were driving around there the other day.
With all these people unemployed, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And I've heard some
but
things
we all
going
acknowledge
on.
that, though, JD.
Well,
right?
yeah,
we acknowledge that that's going to be the case. It's not as if
but that translates
we want that
translates to death. That translates to your life
mean,
being
though, that people like
completely
us
altered.
think we should be
So
shut down.
I understand.
Don't want that
I understand.
to happen. Want that to happen.
We've had 150 people die in Las Vegas or in Nevada. I get that. But right now, the number is about 2,700 jobs lost for every single life lost.
Understood.
And I'm telling you, the numbers are going to translate much higher than 1 to 2,700.
Okay. Well, I can only tell you over the weekend when my friend's mom died, the first thing that I thought of was unemployment.
I'm sorry about your friend's mother, Brian.
I don't think about unemployment.
I'm sorry, but how old is she, by the way?
65 years old.
Do you know the chance of her dying in the next year, no matter what?
Well,
are we really going to have this conversation? Are we really going to have this conversation?
It's actually a number from an actuarial table. It's 1.6%.
Do you really want to have that conversation?
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. And with COVID, it's about 3.
Okay, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that and go to the call. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, is 257-5396. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're first up in the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Steve?
Yeah, good morning, JD. Nice job on the reporters. I guess you can put me down in the protester idiots, to quote Brian. And my source is a Israeli virologist. In fact, you would contact Wayne Allen Root, and I'm sure he'd come on.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Oh, you got one Israeli urologist. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure Wayne Allen Root would come on. Yeah.
Something, everybody else starts talking. Is that necessary?
Well, when you take a deep dive like that, where you bring up one urologist,
don't bring up Wayne Allen Root,
and then Wayne Allen Root, you're gonna get bounced off of.
There have been a lot of different doctors.
Who's the JD? Who's the virologist there at the table?
We don't have anybody like that, Steve. Will you make your point, please?
It's campaign, but it's with cannabis.
All right. Well, Steve, make your point.
He said that there was absolutely no difference in the death rate in countries that totally shut down and those that didn't.
And what's your source on that, Wayne Allen Root?
No, you can actually watch what's happening in Sweden right now, Brian. In Sweden, they have done no lockdown whatsoever, and the virus has basically exhausted.
I'll tell you what. I will take your report, sir. If you could give us a report of how many drinks you've had this morning. How about that?
I don't drink. So I said, and you told me I was stupid. JD, bet that guy $1,000 that I graduated gamma cum laude.
I don't care how much you've graduated. You could still be an alcoholic.
Gamma, bing, bang, all over the place.
So if you're so smart, okay. So let me ask you a question.
You'll have to slip me that diploma.
All right. So let me ask you a question.
I'm not going to take the $1,000 risk otherwise.
All right. Hold on. If I can talk now, Steve. Let me ask you a question, sir. If you're so smart, why are you using as a reference Wayne Allen Root, a man who just got a cease and desist letter from the New York State Attorney General, a man who has done nothing to help when it comes to this virus, a man who is known by many as a wannabe InfoWars right-wing conspiracy theorist? If you're so smart, why are you referencing a man like Wayne Allen Root? Please explain.
because my law school background.
All right, goodbye. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Your law school background. What a doofus. 702-257-5396 is the number.
Law school, stupid.
702-257. Oh, you think we should talk about Wayne Allen Root and reference the things he said?
Come on.
No, you come on.
No.
Wayne Allen Root, we should be referencing what Wayne Allen Root says, yes or no?
If Steve went to law school.
Who cares? Who cares if he went to law school?
Did you go to law
He's
school?
referencing Wayne Allen Root.
I didn't go to law
you
school.
You know
I
what?
didn't go to law
You know what?
school.
Just because you study.
I'm not going to call someone a doofus.
I didn't go to law school. I didn't go to medical school.
Just because they said they went to law school.
I
understand referencing Wayne Allen Root. I get that.
What do you get about that?
But a lot of doctors all over the world.
Name me one really intelligent person.
I've said very, very similar things, Brian.
Name me one intelligent person that references Wayne Allen Root and forms their opinions on him.
When you have some time, look at what's been happening in Sweden. They've done nothing for a lockdown whatsoever. The virus has basically exhausted itself in 8 weeks. The death rate's kind of high, but the caseload.
And why is that?
The caseload is not spreading.
And why is that? Do you know why?
Do I know why?
Because we've been practicing mitigation. That's why.
No, in Sweden. I'm saying in Sweden they've practiced no mitigation whatsoever. I'm saying in other parts of the world they're doing things a little differently. For whatever reason, in the United States, our caseload is 5 times everybody else's.
All right, let's go back to the
I think a
calls.
lot of that has to do with the fact that you have New York City, which is arguably one of the biggest tourist destinations in the world, where people are living in vertical spaces on top of each other, as well as a very, very consistently used public transit system, and there's not a lot of cars. So everybody goes through the same spaces in that city.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Andre. Andre, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Andre?
What's up, man? Good morning, man. Brian, you are so disrespectful to your callers, man. I mean, it's actually embarrassing, man. I mean, you're a clown.
I think you're a clown. I think. Okay, so what do you disagree with anything that I've said on the show? Let's have a debate.
It's not just callers lately; it's co-hosts too.
JD, well, no, you've been disrespectful to me too.
Haven't.
Yes, you have.
You want to be taken seriously as a man.
I don't care. Okay, here's the thing.
Those who want respect, give respect.
Who said that?
Tony Soprano,
You guys-
2005.
Can I have a conversation with this
Anyway,
caller?
you
No. Hold on.
Now.
What have I said in this show that you disagree with? Let's have a respectful debate. I'm more than willing to do that with you, Andre.
Let's have a respectful debate. Listen, let me make my point because you're going to cut me off.
Well, actually, you started your phone call though by just insulting the host. So
You didn't start. You did start the phone call by insulting me. So would you like to apologize? And then I'm more than willing to have a respectful debate with you. Yes or no, sir?
Okay, right. You went so.
No, not okay, right? You can
Anyway.
apologize to me, and then I'll have a respectful debate with you. I'll keep you on the air. Yes or no?
Okay.
Okay, what? Okay, what?
What I was trying.
No, you're not going to continue this conversation until you apologize to me. You're not going to continue this conversation until you apologize to me. You're not going to. Okay, then have a nice day. We'll go to the next caller. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. It's not your show. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, 257-5396. Next caller is Ron. Ron, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Happy belated birthday there, Brian.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey, I wanted to tell you that because I forgot to when you put me on earlier. So, I got on Friday and you guys ran out of time, and I'm thinking, man, I forgot to tell Brian happy birthday again.
I appreciate that, Ron. Thank you. Ron, am I disrespectful to all the callers, Ron? Have I ever been disrespectful to you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Thank you.
not.
Maybe because you don't start a call by insulting me. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, hey, you know what they say? If you want respect, give it.
Yes.
You know? So.
Well, I respect you, Ron. What's on your mind, my friend?
That's all I had. I really didn't have anything, any opinion. I just wanted to wish you,
Thank you, Ron.
Maybe barbecue at your house, right?
I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you, Ron. Thank you for the phone call,
Ron.
702-257-5396. John, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, John?
Hey, man. Boy, I have been a harsh critic of Carolyn Goodman, and I still am. Basically, what she said was, we can't let the cure be worse than the disease. Really, that's when you boil it all down, that's what she said. And she even admitted that she doesn't have a plan. So
right.
That's not leadership, in my opinion.
You make a good point there, John. John, let me ask you this, and I appreciate you making that point. I tried to get some answers from her. I asked her about the protesters. If she disagrees with that, that's fine. But then I asked her, when do we reopen? And she said she didn't want to go there. You can't call something insane and then not be able to tell us when you think the state should reopen. I find that troubling, don't you?
Absolutely. And this third guy in, Chris is his name?
Yes.
What a stud he's turned out to be, huh? look, I mean, Chris, you work at a restaurant or whatever, you work on the Strip. Wouldn't you love to be able to go back to work and knowing that all of your fellow employees have taken a test and are all negative, and you can have fun at work that day? Sure, there's going to be the risk from the customers coming in, but there's an approach that needs to be taken, and it involves testing. And nobody's saying that because it's hard, and that's why Carolyn Goodman's not. I've called Carolyn Goodman's office several times and said, "Dear Carolyn, where can I go get a test today?" And she's never responded. Carolyn, if you're listening, please call back and tell everybody where they can go get a test today if they want to have a test.
Let me tell you something.
She might actually be listening.
Let me tell you something to the caller. Not only would I love to go back to work, but I would love to be able to have the freedom to go out if I want to make a run down to the Orleans Casino and play my 2-4 limit poker and have a couple cocktails. I would love to roll down to maybe the Gold Coast or the Venetian or the Palazzo or any spot on the Strip and play a little caveman keno or a little 4-card keno. That's what I like to do. I'm a Vegas guy. I've been here for 17 years. So yes, answer to your question, they act like there's people out there, and Carolyn Goodman happens to be one of them, and Mayor Goodman happens to be one of them, where they think they have a monopoly on wanting to get back to some type of normalcy, right? On wanting to open up society. I would think that we all want that, right? We all want to get back to that, and they think that they're the only ones that do, and that those of us who think that we should do this safely, okay, and listen to the people as far as public health experts and those that are in the know when it comes to viruses, okay, and what it is we have to do to slow them or stop them, listening to them as opposed to listening to economists.
No, and the problem with that is, Chris, let's say that you...
Well, it's not really a problem.
Let's say that you and all your coworkers got a test that day. You could get the virus the next day. You'd have to test.
Absolutely.
You'd have to test every single day for that to make any sense whatsoever. The best test in there would be the antibody test to see actually who has had the virus or who is possibly immune to the virus so that it can't spread in your workplace. And Chris, I would make the argument that right now the entire country, especially in Las Vegas, where you can't even get, I mean, you look at Detroit, for example, or Michigan, where you can't even visit your friends. Here, you can't get an in-home haircut. Easters have been locked down. There's no basketball courts. There's no tennis courts. Golf courses are down. I would argue that right now we're not living. We're not.
Well, you're exactly right, JD. But everything you just mentioned,
you talk about lives, Brian. You talk about saving lives. I'm saying right now what we're doing right now, we are not. I would much rather prosper, or at least have the opportunity to attempt to prosper, than to do this.
So
especially for 3 to 4 months.
So let's play basketball games and let's have everybody congregate in parks.
I'm just saying, Brian, we don't know when the virus got here. We don't know the death rate. There are so many things we don't know.
So let's open up the country.
What we do know is the unemployment rate. What we do know is the homeless population is going to go across the entire country. We do know that.
Let's go to John real quick.
But we do not know how deadly this virus really is.
John, do you disagree with JD? I would imagine you agree with myself and Chris.
Or what is going to disagree?
All right. Well, why don't you guys have a conversation? And John, why do you disagree with JD?
Because you're just stepping into the abyss. I mean, there's a smart way out of this, and it involves testing. And the sad fact is, we don't have enough cotton swabs. Can you imagine that? We're the United States of America, the most powerful economy on the planet. We have a president who has the power to stop any business in its track and say we need you to start producing cotton swabs today.
Which he did yesterday. He said that yesterday. He literally sat up there with a swab. He showed it to people, explained how the test works, and then said, I am starting the Defense Production Act to get millions and millions of these swabs. Now, do you know why that testing was delayed? Because there was a contamination at CDC that delayed everything by 1 full month. That's why the rollout of the test was delayed.
John, go ahead.
It's not an excuse, it's fact.
All right, John, go ahead. Respond to that.
It's an explanation.
It's April 20th. He should have been doing that in January or February.
We've tested 4 million people. We've been testing.
That's a lot.
500 million.
There's 330 million.
Chris, let me ask you this: What is?
And by the way,
how many people
are saying
have
5 by the end of the month? Only 5 million by the end of the month.
There's no way.
So you think we're up to par as far as the testing?
I find that hard to believe that testing would go down.
Hang on.
Testing right now is almost 200,000 every day. So, by that logic, Chris, it would be closer to 6.
So it's not my logic. It's a very simple question. Do you think we're up to par?
John,
of course I do.
By JD's logic,
I don't think we should be over. I think the test we should be offering up is the antibody test. So actually to see when the virus got it. For example, look what happened in Massachusetts. They took 200 people off the street, just off the street in Chelsea, Massachusetts, which is an area
JD,
that has been hit kind of hard. And 64 of the 200, based on your opinion, 64 of Chris, we've tested 100% more than the rest of the world.
It's a matter of fact, JD.
Russia has tested 1.9. We tested 4 million.
I understand you're getting upset, JD.
No, I'm not upset. I'm saying,
just my opinion, that we are not up to par in this nation when it comes to testing for the coronavirus, both from an antibody standpoint as well as a regular testing standpoint. We are not
I will agree with the antibody standpoint.
No, it's a fact.
I will not agree.
It's not a matter of opinion.
I don't see the point of just testing everyone for COVID-19 unless they have the symptoms and they meet the requirement. No, I'm totally with you on the antibody thing. I'm actually get that test myself when I can do so, because then we can actually figure out again what is the actual death rate, and have we been. Is this one massive overreaction to something where the actual death rate is basically the flu? Because we don't know.
It's never going to be an overreaction.
We don't know.
It'll never be an overreaction.
Chris, if 22 million people are out of work and the economy is set back 5 years, yes, it'll be an overreaction. Yeah. If there are 60,000 deaths and 500,000 people die because of what's happened with the economy being down and people being out of work and losing health insurance and all the various things that come with that, then yes, it'll be a major overreaction.
It's a global pandemic that has taken place across the entire globe. It's never going to be considered a overachievement or over-exaggeration.
Obviously, I agree. Let's get back. By the way, John, I appreciate the phone call. That was a good debate. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Vinny. Vinny, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Vinny?
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Al, I'm sorry. Al is the next caller. Al, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Al?
Hey, how you guys doing? Hey,
good.
First of all, I'm just reading some good news. I wanted to show the RJ is reporting that wind's going to open up soon with Mass. I'm guessing it'll be RJ. So they're opening up. But I think
that's not correct. To the caller, that's not correct. They're not going to open up individual properties across the United States. Yeah, I know they laid out a reopening plan, but let's be clear here, okay? What takes place across, not just in Las Vegas, but in Nevada, is going to be dictated by Governor Stislak and the public health team there here in the state of Nevada. Let's put it this way. You're not going to have one property opening up and another property opening up. And the reason that I'm saying this is because I work at a property on the Las Vegas Strip, and basic, it's not even just common sense, it's just sense. They're not going to open up one property and not open up others. That's not how it's going to pan out.
Okay, well, anyway, there's an article on RJ. You guys can read it.
Yeah,
That's really why I called. What I called for is that the most important thing we have to worry about right now that we got the hospitals under control in terms of volume control, is we got to get people their unemployment checks. And someone's got to expand that computer system. That's a bunch of baloney, what Steve says, that it's too old. You can always add on. There is no network computer system in the world that you cannot expand.
Let me respond to you on that. Can I respond to you on that? Because, yes, there was a press conference by Governor Sisolak a matter of, 3 or 4 days ago, where he addressed the unemployment, and he had on his unemployment coordinator, the woman who actually works for the office. And, yes, they did expand it as of, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago. They have a much larger call center, and they are addressing that situation. But obviously, yes, because of the system is so outdated, and this is, by the way, this isn't just in Nevada, this is across the country, they have been having issues. There's no question with people getting their unemployment. But make no mistake about it, they are taking steps to rectify what you're talking about.
All right, let me give out that.
But Chris, they are behind 2 to 3 weeks right now on applications.
That's understood.
Which is a really, really big deal.
I didn't say it wasn't a big deal.
We got to do even more. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying it's not enough.
Well, I agree.
That's what we got to really focus on right now.
Yes.
Because you know what? People don't have any money. Things are going to get crazy.
Well, I think that.
Especially considering how many people are armed here.
And JD and I talked about this, right? We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and there is a concern.
I just want to give out the phone number again, because I think I've had one opportunity to give out the phone number in the last 30 minutes. So let me give out the number again, 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of this conversation, that number to call is 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I got to ask Brian, how many people are in your kitchen right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the law is that you can't have more than 10 in a gathering. So your point there, Brady?
How's your social distancing doing?
Social distancing is fine, Brady. And by the way, I was also tested for the coronavirus because I don't want to infect anybody else if I have it.
Buffoon.
Why am I a buffoon? Tell me why.
Because you're
Tell me why.
worried about the people that are trying to open this economy up.
Okay, so so your opinion. Okay, hold on, Brady. I'm not going to hang up on you. Brady, I'm not going to hang up on you. Let's have this conversation. So you're correlating me doing. If I could just finish,
There's
JD.
definitely moderate hypocrisy taking place.
If I could just. No, it's not. That's absurd.
No,
That's an idiotic thing that you just said. You're comparing Brady. Excuse me. My turn. You're comparing 5 people. Excuse me. My turn. You're comparing 5 people doing a radio show to 500 people protesting. Do you realize how dumb you sound when you say something like that? We have 5 people doing a radio show, comparing it to 500 people, some across the country, that had Confederate flags and Nazi signs. You were probably one of them. You were probably one of them. Weren't you holding the Nazi sign up, Brady? You were probably one of them.
You cannot lump all the protesters in.
I guarantee you, Brady probably has Confederate flags all over his house.
Flags and the Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to have people like that on every single.
Okay, so Brady,
you're going to have bad.
They weren't out there though.
So Brady,
I'm sure they were. I'm sure you're going to have that extremist element.
So Brady, going back to what,
but you can't lump them all in and say that they're all supporting the Confederate flag.
Okay, I didn't say that,
Nazis.
JD.
Well, you kind of did.
Say that. No, I'm calling Brady that, and I'm mocking Brady because he's an idiot. If you didn't understand that, I'm sorry. Brady, going back, is Brady even on the line still? Of course.
Yeah,
okay. So, Brady, would you like to retract your idiotic statement that what I am doing is saying to the 500 protesters in Las Vegas that we're not practicing social distance? Oh, and by the way, I was tested for the coronavirus negative. Would you like to take back your idiotic statement comparing me to the protesters that were had Trump signs and Confederate flags? Would you like to retract that?
No, because
of course not. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. God. People are just so dumb. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
I will tell you this. I think that comparing every single protester or lumping in or associating every single protester with the extremists, the ones that support the Confederate flag and the ones that are neo-Nazis, I think that is dumb.
Well, nobody's doing that, though. Nobody's saying they're all the same. Brian, you're not saying that.
On the same side, if there was a left-wing protest, you're going to have some Antifa, you're going to have some Black Panthers, you're going to have extremists there too. It happens in every single situation like this.
I wanted to get to another call, but I don't think we have enough time. So here's what we're going to do. When we come back, by the way, I never said that everybody has Confederate flags. I never said that everybody is a racist. I never said that. I was mocking Brady because he decided to start a conversation, JD, and compare me to the protesters, which I'm sure you would agree with is completely idiotic. And that is why I mocked him, because I mocked ignorant people that say ignorant things, and Brady is a perfect example of that. He is an idiot.
I mean, you have to admit that I'm 7 inches away from Stein. Stein's 7 inches away from Campaign. Campaign's a foot away from you.
Campaign's at least 12 inches.
We're all.
And all of you guys are at least 3 or 4 feet from me, so I'm good.
We're all in very, very close proximity right now.
And unlike you, though,
it's hard to deny.
I did take the coronavirus. So you think it's fair analogy to compare?
I'm saying we're taking a risk here by doing this.
Do you think we
are?
And do you think we're taking the same risk as those 500 protesters? Can you answer that question honestly?
If one of us has the virus,
that's not what I asked.
Then our risk is exponentially worse.
That's not what I asked you. Do you think we're taking the same risk as those protesters, 500 protesters that were protesting on the Strip? And we got to take a break. It's a yes or no question.
Those that were not social distancing, no. Those that were, yes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we're going to take a quick break. That was my point. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to a local business owner that is struggling. The government has not helped him. Why is he struggling? Will he be able to reopen his business? John Brookhagen will join us next. You're listening to The Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
This is the story of Julie Guillot. She's a Leukemia and Lymphoma Society advocate and the mother of a child who battled blood cancer.
Zach was diagnosed with AML, a deadly leukemia, when he was only 5. He died at just 9 years old, really from the treatment that was meant to save him.
Today, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is pioneering breakthrough treatments for kids with cancer. Visit LLS.org and save a child's life. Furnished by LLS.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During these challenging times, our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas. KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, coronavirus update. Many governors have told the White House that massive testing for coronavirus will be the key to restarting their economies. Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci tells ABC's Good Morning America he understands the frustration in state capitals.
What we need to do is make a better connectivity with the tests that are available, as well as the capacity that in some cases is not used through no faults of the governor or the local people, that there are now should be between 1.5 to 2+ million tests per week.
Protests are underway in Pennsylvania over shelter-in-place orders. Correspondent Miguel Marquez is in Harrisburg.
In all, they probably had thousands of protesters out in front here urging the governor to reopen the state. The governor issuing an extension of the stay-at-home order while this protest was going on.
Mixed trading on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 285 points. The S&P down 20. The Nasdaq gaining 10. I'm Ann Cates. A major restaurant company is returning money from a federal program.
Shake Shack's CEO said they no longer need the $10 million loan from the Small Business Administration, and they're returning the money.
That $10 million now can go back into the pot, can go to the people who deserve it, and we hope can go help inspire the next round, as you're seeing the Treasury and everyone talking today about how to make this next round better.
But Randy Garutti defended the company's decision to apply for the coronavirus small business funds.
To take care of our team and employ as many people. Oh, look, our team members have equal value to any other team member in the world.
Shake Shack was able to raise capital through the selling of stock. Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
The death toll from a shooting rampage in Nova Scotia has climbed to at least 18 as authorities try to determine the motive of the gunman who was disguised as a police officer. The suspect, who is dead, also set homes ablaze. It is Canada's worst mass shooting in history. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Upwork when you need in-demand talent on demand. The accident reported on Pecos Road, south of Tropicana at Hacienda Avenue, now in the clearing stage, but to avoid delays that still may be in the area, take an alternate like McLeod or Tropicana. And if your travels take you to the California line, a heads up, an accident, multi-vehicle car crash has bbeen reported on I-15 northbound at Kelbaker Road, blocking 2 left lanes, traffic slow from Racer Road in the area. Upwork has the world's largest network of independent professionals like designers, developers, data scientists, you name it. When you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
Sometimes you hear an idea or learn about a company and say, finally, it's about time. That's what I said when I met the team at Homey. With Homey, you get a local real estate expert and everything you expect with a traditional agent. Everything except those high fees and commissions. Homey sellers save $10,000 on average. Finally, you can buy and sell confidently and save thousands in good times and bad. Check out homey.com or just text JD to 8858 to receive $250 off your listing fee. Homey's got your back.
These are unprecedented times, which are causing a lot of stress and financial worry for millions of Americans. But here's some good news. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, Optima Tax Relief can reduce the stress in your life by helping you resolve your tax debt right from the safety of your own home. Make no mistake, you don't want to owe the IRS right now. They can take your paycheck and everything you work so hard for. But with Optima on your side, you may qualify for help that saves you thousands. Their tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and has resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for taxpayers across the nation. So now's the time. For tax help you need, for tax help you trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-709-6011. That's 800-709-6011. 800-709-6011.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise. Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It's the Vegas Take Hour number 3. We got Chris Wynn. I almost said in studio, but in my kitchen, actually.
Technically, it is in studio, though, Brian.
Yeah, unbelievable. It is Sharp and Shapiro, the Vegas Take on a Monday, the Monday edition from Brian Shapiro's Kitchen. Back at you. We'll take some more calls a little bit later in the show. By the way, did Donald Trump say he was aroused in a press conference yesterday? Was he looking at Megyn Kelly? Well, what's going on? Maybe it was Jim Acosta that aroused him. Well, we got the audio to prove that. No. That'll be coming up here.
It would be Kayleigh McEnany.
I don't think he said he was aroused, guys, but didn't he say he was watching the video, right? And he said, that's a good-looking guy right there. I'm pretty sure he did.
No, he was talking about...
He did say that, though, right?
He was talking about Andrew Cuomo.
Yes!
Yeah, because they played the video and the audio didn't come on.
Guy.
He was a good-looking guy.
That's a handsome gentleman right there.
I do like I do like how off the cuff Trump is in situations like that.
He's off the cuff.
No other president has ever thought about doing anything like that before. So
right.
Donald Trump is off the cuffness all over the place.
Very refreshing.
If only the
to
day
watch
after,
his press
if only a couple days after,
if
only a couple days after 9/11, George W. Bush talked about the ratings he had during his press conference. Boy, that would be incredible. Anyway. The guy joining us on the line right now, we like to talk to local business owners, and obviously there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. Now, I don't think that's an excuse or a reason to put everybody in harm's way and go on strike with hundreds of people on the strip. But with that being said, I certainly speak for myself. I say I have a tremendous amount of sympathy for those who are struggling in the Valley, those who have local businesses that are good, hardworking people. The government is supposed to be helping those that are in need. Well, the guy we have with us on right now, his name is John Brookhagen. He's been on our show before. He is the owner of Infinity, the Math Institute, and he's having some struggles with the SBA loan that he's been trying to get. John, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, John?
Very good, Brian. How you doing? JD, Chris, what's up, guys?
Doing all right. So, John, tell us a little bit about your story of when you had to close down and the struggles you've had with the government, kind of the trials and tribulations that you've had to go through.
Well, first of all, I want to say happy birthday. And number two, I've been on the show a bunch. You guys have always been great supporters of this endeavor to try to help these kids do better in school. And I wanted to thank you guys for your never-ending support. But I wanted to, give you a little taste of what's going on over the past month from a small business point of view. And as you guys know, we opened up in February of 2019 with a dream. We invested everything we had and extended all of our credit in order to realize this. And things were, going pretty well. February of 2020, our 13th month open, was our first month in the black, meaning it was the first time
you made money
since we opened that we brought in more money than we spent. And obviously rent and stuff like that is our biggest expenses. And we were able to finally turn that hurdle, and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and thought everything was worth it. And then what do you know, this happens. And, I don't think it had anything to do with me personally, but things happen just like catastrophes happen all the time, and we had to deal with it. What was great is, right away, the federal government said that they had our small businesses and the middle class in mind, and they were going to find things to help us out. And this was before that anything was ordered shut down. And I was encouraged that, we were going to be able to provide for our community. We were going to be able to stay open. And before this was over, we were going to get the help we needed to continue to grow the way we were growing. When they first, or, a lot of times we only have a couple of people on the premises at a time, no more than 10 people. So we were always under the social distancing suggestions and stuff like that. And they were suggestions, and we followed through with them. We had a lot of stuff implemented to make sure people didn't contaminate everything. We had strict rules in place for the kids, and if the parents came in, they had to follow the same rules. And then the governor said something about businesses had to close. And the first thing I thought about was, the suggestions are one thing, but ordering us to close, that begins to fall under the subject of eminent domain. If I own a house and you tell me you have to build a highway where my house is, the government kind of does have the right to just take my house, but the Constitution says that they must compensate me a fair market value. So I feel like if the government suggests people not to go out, it's one thing. But if they demand businesses to close, that falls under eminent domain. But to be honest, I wasn't getting all my legal gears going because I said whatever. A loan would be fine. Let me just get through this, and then we could continue to grow. So as soon as we were declared a national emergency, I applied for the SBA loan as instructed. And I got a response right away saying that Nevada was not a disaster zone. And I wrote them right back saying, you must have not gotten the news because I applied as soon as that was the case. And then they never wrote back to me. But I applied. I have filled out the application. It was very long, very tedious. I got halfway through it and saved it. I went back the next day, and they had a new system up. So this was the 15th I first applied when we first had the state of emergency.
You're saying March 15th?
Yeah, March 15th.
Okay.
Then on March 19th, they had a new system up, so I wasn't able to complete my original application. They had a new one where you had to print out all the PDF documents, scan them, and then resubmit them into a mailbox. Okay, no problem. So I did all that. That took me a long time. That was quite tedious. And 3 days later, they said they had a new system. I think that's like the 23rd of March. They had a new system, streamlined. It should only take 10 minutes. Even if you've applied before, please refill out this one so that way we could have everything organized. And I understood, they're going through it. I'm sure they didn't know what they were doing. And to do in 1 week, they said they streamlined the process, no problem. So I applied a third time, and I got a confirmation number that they received my application. But I didn't receive any email saying that it's in the process. I, never got nothing. I emailed them on the 13th, the 17th, yada, yada, yada. Finally, on the 27th, a week after I filled out the third application with no response, I emailed them saying, hey, I just want to let you know if you received the application and if there's anything you could tell me, no response. I waited 2 more weeks. On April 9th, I wrote to them saying, listen, I've been hearing that the money's starting to run out, this, that, the other thing. Can you please give me some sort of update on if you've received my application? Is anything going on? Still no response whatsoever. On the 17th of April, 3 days ago, I wrote them for the 5th time saying, listen, I haven't heard anything. I'm really worried. They're saying there's no more money. I don't understand. People are saying it's first come, first serve. I know I was the first person to apply for this. I haven't heard anything from anybody. And I got from that one, I got an automatic reply saying that they received my email, which I didn't receive for the previous 2 emails. So I really, really, really don't know what's going on whatsoever with it. And then I called on Friday, and I got a chance to speak with somebody who was definitely not thrilled to be there. And after I talked to her, I said, can you just confirm that you guys received my my application? She said, no, I can't check it. I go, do you even want my name or my business name or my confirmation number? She goes, if you got a confirmation number, we received it. I'm like, okay, but it's been almost a month. She goes, it usually takes 2 to 5 weeks for us to get through back to people. I go, okay, it's been 5 weeks. She says, you should expect a call within the next couple of days. Obviously, this is 3 days later. I still haven't received a call. I hope to receive one soon. Then, I felt really, really funny about asking this stuff, but I said, well, not for nothing. I heard the money's run out, and she goes, oh, yeah, that's the case. I go, well, if the money's run out, do I have any chance of getting anything? She goes, no, to be honest with you, there is no more money. I go, well, how was that determined? She goes, it was on a first come, first served basis. Now we're talking in circles. Then finally, and I felt really, really weird asking this, but I felt like I should ask it because it's all over the news. I said to her, with all due respect, I go, is there any chance that it's because I'm not a woman or a minority business owner? Because I heard that at least half of this money was going to be set aside for women and minority business owners. Is it possible that maybe, that they just got their applications looked at first, just trying to find an excuse why I haven't heard anything? And she goes, do not insult my intelligence by telling me that, you think that women and minority business owners are cutting the line. I said, no, I'm not implying anything. I'm just asking because that's what they're saying on the news. And she goes, well, you're not hearing the right news, and I've been really nice to you this whole time, so don't ask me these types of questions. And I said, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Just that's what, I'm not saying the news is saying that. I'm saying the politicians are saying that, and it's broadcast on the news. And she hung up on me. So some other questions that I had that maybe somebody in power might be listening is, first of all, I would imagine Nevada, which is almost strictly tourism. I'd imagine, besides the mining and stuff like that, this is everybody who's employed here is kind of somewhat tied to tourism. Even me as a math institute, my customers work in the hotels and casinos. So when there's no tourism, I have no customers because they have no money. Why is it that we got less than 1% of this stimulus package when we should be the hardest hit? That's number one. Number two, all these people, this money was set aside for companies with less than 500 employees. Well, come to find out, the people that got all the money are these restaurant chains. And the way these restaurant chains got it is because they have these big corporate lawyers fast tracking or whatever. I've heard of other opportunities where you can spend $3,000 on a lawyer and they'll get you to the front of the line. I can't afford a lawyer right now.
Right.
And why is it that these franchises are able to get corporate lawyers to represent all of their restaurants with employees, magnitudes larger than 500 people?
John.
They fall under the umbrella of their franchises, so they're less than 500 people, but meanwhile they're applying en masse and sucking up all the money in one shot.
John, I'm sorry to interrupt because I want to ask you a few more questions.
No, I know, I've been talking on.
No, that's all right.
John, that was a very, very good explanation. Thank you for that.
Let me just start off by
a great timeline that I'm sure all listeners can appreciate.
Let me just start off by saying this. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry all local businesses are going through this. It's not right. It's not fair. And I do believe that the government is not doing you justice. Let's just put it that way, number one. Number two, let me ask you this question. I mentioned the government. Who do you blame, though? Who do you blame for this lack of transparency? And I mean, who would you blame?
Well, I mean, there's blame to go around for everything.
He's trying to make this political, John. You can let him do it if you want to.
For the coronavirus, I mean, obviously not the people of China, but somehow the Chinese government has some sort of hand in this and not either telling the truth or not, whatever. Who do I blame for the economic situation I'm in? I mean, I can understand every side of the coin. For example, if we saved 2.2 million lives, then this shutdown was absolutely essential, and thank God that we did what we did to save 2.2 million lives. If we saved 20,000 lives, or 40,000 lives, ruining the economy and the livelihood of at least 20 million Americans, if not more, I don't know if, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. And hindsight is 20/20.
Can I ask you something in there?
And I would agree with that, John.
Can I ask you something in there? But we're not going to know that, with all due respect. We're not going to know that we've ruined 20 million people's lives. I think we can make that assumption maybe a year or two from now.
No, we do know that.
No, we don't.
That people's,
we
do know that 22 million.
No, we don't.
We don't know.
We do know that the workforce has been diminished by about 16%.
And we don't know if those people are going to be able to work again in 3 or 4 months. We don't know the answer to that.
And that's all variable based on if this Paycheck Protection Program gets extended.
Well, you just said we know. We don't know.
To $250 billion.
You just said we know. We don't know.
Well, the number's not going to be 22 million, but it could drop down to 8 to 10, which is still 8 to 10 million people. That's a lot of people buying.
But John,
keep in mind that small businesses make up 99% of businesses in the entire United States, Brian.
But John, let me address you because, of course, you just had an opportunity to discuss what you've been dealing with. And look, it sounds like there's been a lot of incompetence that has taken place on the other side of the line from you, as well as a lot of you basically slipping through the cracks is what I've been hearing in what you talked about there. Do you believe that what the government is going to do, and it appears obviously that there's going to be another small business type of package put together, right? That's something that's in the process right now in Washington, D.C. Is this something that could rectify some of your problems that you're having with Infinity?
The bottom line is, I don't care if it's a loan or a grant or anything. We're here. I have not lost one customer due to finances. We gave every single one of our customers, because everybody in Nevada is affected. I don't care if you say you can't quantify how many people have been hurt by this. Everybody in Nevada has been hurt in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I have automatically, now my bills are the same. My rent is the same. My internet, electric, cable, security, all my bills are the same. All my customers got 50% off automatically without asking for it in April. A couple of customers said, listen, we can't even afford that. We love you. We will be back when we can. Every single one of those customers has retained my services for free. They don't owe it at the end of the deferment. They don't owe. They cared enough to spend money on their child's education. They can't do it now. I would do this for free, absolutely for free if I could. You guys know all I care about is helping these kids get better at math, because they're just not good enough at math. Our country is just not good enough at math.
And I could definitely confirm that. John, let me ask you, you are a math guy. Based on the modeling has gone from 2.2 to 1.6 to 240 to 60,000. Tell me, if you have any idea, how do they come up with those projections that have been advertised to us, the doomsday scenario, so to speak, that Dr. Deborah Birx and Donald Trump and Dr. Anthony Fauci have been telling the American public? Where do they come up? How do they get those numbers, John?
All right. Well, first of all, I mean, amid this horrible, horrible situation, personally or for people who are dying, whatever, all these models and mathematics on the news and TV gets me excited. I love it. My higher-end students, I'm showing them how this relates. It's all calculus. All of it is calculus. And you don't have to understand calculus to understand what I'm about to say. Every single model has their variations, whatever the case may be, min, max, and obviously we've come well below the min, thank God, for, however that happened. And but every single model is the same, and we talk about flattening the curve. And every single model you see has, without social distancing, a big tall curve, and the other one has a flat curve that lasts a lot longer. And now, one thing you'll realize is, number one, calculus is two things. The rate of change, which you guys talk about every day on your show. The rate of change is one aspect of calculus, and we've been studying that very importantly. How the number of deaths is less than the previous day means our rate of change is slowing down, which is a good thing.
Right.
Even though it's still going up, the difference it's going up is smaller, and so on and so forth. The second hand of calculus is the area under the curve. And that's a really telling thing that's the cumulative of the deaths.
Can I ask you a question, though, John? Can I ask you a question, though, John?
Can I just finish this one point?
Yes, go ahead.
The area under the curve is the cumulative deaths. Now, if you look at every single model with social distancing versus without social distancing, you'll notice the area under the curve is always the same. It's just that we have this imaginary dotted line of what our healthcare facilities can facilitate.
Right.
And that's why we needed to flatten the curve. Now, if you look at every single model, the area under the curve is always the same, meaning the same number of people are going to get infected. If we don't have a vaccine within 12 to 18 months, the herd immunity will finish before the vaccine, no matter how much we flatten the curve, whether it's 2 months or 8 months or 12 months, the same number of people are going to get infected. So what I don't understand is, with all these experts constantly on TV and everything, if the idea was to keep the curve underneath the healthcare system capacity, well, then once we are maintaining under capacity, we should be lifting social regulations in order to ride that capacity. Because if you completely shut down everything, but the same number of people are going to catch it, when you open everything, we're going to have another.
Let me ask you something in regards to that, John.
Then it ends up for naught,
Right.
basically.
Let me ask you something in regard. I mean, we could talk about models. We could talk about the
Which
curve.
is why we should have limited,
I understand.
let people golf. Let
So-
people
Well, which
go
I
to
think
the
I
bank.
think it's very interesting, Brian. Getting the actual data behind, or not the data, but the process behind where these numbers
I
come
understand,
from.
but I want to ask John a human-to-human question that is, to me, more important than models or curves or math, and that is this, John. And I think it's a very simple question. Would you be comfortable today if there were 1,000 people on the strip not practicing social distancing? I know you have a kid, you have a wife. Would you be comfortable taking your family out right now, not practicing social distancing, wearing masks, and protesting with all the others out there, 1,000 people? Would you be comfortable right now doing that?
No. And number one, I'm just talking numbers. I'm not talking about my personal opinion. But there's two different things. There's my opinion, and there's the rights, and there's the Constitution. My opinion is that felons and convicted criminals and the mentally handicapped should not own guns. That's my opinion. But the Constitution says the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. So my opinion on who should own a gun and the Constitution's words are two different things. I do not want to go into a big crowd because I don't want to give myself undue exposure. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that, my whole point is my opinion and what's legal is two different things.
Well, it's
My
illegal.
opinion
It's illegal
is-
to have large
my
gatherings
opinion
over
is
than
that
10.
If you give me a loan, I'll be fine with my business.
Right.
The legal point of it is if you order my business closed, the government owes me eminent domain compensation. Now, am I going to hire a lawyer and sue the government over my constitutional rights? No. But
I hear you.
But that doesn't change the fact that it is what it is.
Right.
All right. Well, listen, John, let me be the first one to say this. I've known you a long time. I know you're a good guy. You have a nice family. You have a nice business. And I'm sorry, and I mean this, with all my heart. I'm very sorry that you're having to go through this. But the sad part about it is, John, is you're one of thousands and thousands that have a story like yours. Maybe it might be a different business, but you're struggling. And I have no doubt, and I have tons of sympathy for what you and your family and all those good other people in Las Vegas and throughout the world, quite frankly, are going through. I put ahead of what you're going through, the health and safety of Americans, and I'm not saying you don't. We might think a little bit differently when it comes to that stuff, but the bottom line is this. I hope you get the help that you need. It sounds to me that you might not, and I hope that your business will continue to be able to run. Why don't we have you back on, say, in about 3 weeks or so? Let's get an update from you. I hope that you can give us some good news, and how does that sound?
Yeah, no, Brian, hey, I love coming on, whether we're talking about the teachers' strike, we're looking at promoting my business, or you just want updates from a small, love the show. I definitely don't always agree with you, but I've known you for a long time, too. I know you're a good guy, and, just like whether you back Sisolak or Goodman's opinion, the bottom line is the only thing that matters when people are giving their opinion is, are they truly have what they believe is best for their fellow man in mind? And if that's the case, then we could all share an opinion and we could all have an intelligent discussion.
John, last quick question for you. If the Paycheck Protection Program does not extend at $250 billion, will you be able to operate after June 1st?
Well, number one, the Paycheck Protection Program is not going to help me much. I qualify for about $1,000 because over the past year, last year, I didn't have a lot of employees. But these past 3 or 4 months, my payroll has increased because I've gotten more customers. I've steadily grown every single month. So the Paycheck Protection Program isn't really going to help me all that much. Like I said, I was just hoping for a federally backed, low-interest loan with like a 10, they were talking about, a long-term loan. So instead of having to pay it back in 2 years, you could pay it back in 10 years, a fixed rate, 2.5 or 3 for nonprofit, 3.5 for profit. And I thought, it doesn't matter if they just help me a little bit or if they help me a lot. If they just give me enough money to keep my doors open, I'll be able to build my business the old-fashioned way by just getting more customers, advertising more, and yada, yada, yada. But, my question is, for example, I have a family member who was making about $600 a week at their job. And now they're going to be making $950 a week through unemployment.
Right.
And I don't understand how, and it's my family member. I am so thankful that we are going to get a couple of bucks to pay our rent, at home. But the truth of the matter is, all these people are getting all these stimulus checks. The unemployment system is going to pay people more than they were making before. And meanwhile, that's $600 per week per person in Nevada. And God bless them. We all need the help right now. But you're talking about if you took 100 of those $600 payments, my business would be fine for the next year, and I'd be able to get through this no problem. I'm not trying to look over at my neighbor's lawn and see what they have, but just some of the things that they have set up, whether it's for women and minority-owned businesses. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. If it's for paying people who are making $12 an hour, giving them a 150% raise to not work, I don't understand how that's helping. Giving companies like McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken or whoever all the business loans when it's reserved for people with employees of less than 500, some of the things are just not making sense to me. And why can if you got
John, I apologize, man. I apologize, man. I'm up against a break. I appreciate you coming on, my man. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me talk and talk and talk
All right.
and talk. Guys.
Appreciate
I love
it.
the show. Thank you for the support, and I'll talk to you guys ASAP.
All right. Got to take a break. Be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take.
Let's plan for small businesses. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
At this hour, our Democratic colleagues are still prolonging their discussions with the administration, so the Senate, regretfully, will not be able to pass more funding for Americans' paychecks today.
Protests continue in some states over COVID-19 restrictions. Infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci tells ABC's Good Morning America that stay-at-home orders must remain in place.
If you jump the gun and go into a situation where you have a big spike, you're going to set yourself back. So as painful as it is to go by the careful guidelines of gradually phasing into a reopening, it's going to backfire. That's the problem.
Losses are accelerating on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 446 points. I'm Ann Cates.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by D.R. Horton. An accident reported I-15 northbound at Land Boulevard at the on-ramp, not blocking the through lanes, but watch for highway units on scene. Also a crash in the lower valley on Blue Diamond at Torrey Pines, actually going to be on Torrey Pines at the intersection. And also watch for a crash reported Charleston east of Rainbow. It's not blocking, but watch for police presence in the area. D.R. Horton's new home community, Blue Nile Trails, now open in the Southwest. Visit drhorton.com to schedule a private in-person or video tour today. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Satisfaction? Simplicity? Performance? When it comes to vaping, we know what matters. At Vuse, we've been pioneering vapor technologies since 2013. All of our liquids are blended in the USA, and our vapor products are only sold through reputable retailers and our website. At Vuse, we charge beyond in what matters to you. Vuse, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited. Website restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
How much money would you like to save just by doing something you're already doing? How about 40%? With Allstate, safe drivers can save 40% just by doing something they're already doing. Driving safe. That's right, 40% just by driving safe. Visit Allstate.com or call a local agent for a quote today and see just how much you can save when you drive safe with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Savings vary and based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. If you get hurt in a crash, did you know your lawyer can take more money than you? That's right. You get hurt and the lawyer gets rich. Not very fair, is it? When you hire me, those worries go bye, bye, bye. I promise never to take more money than you. And I put it in writing.
If you're tired of greedy lawyers, call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell.
More lawyer, less fee.
Some restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress. I'm waiting these tough times out here at home, and I hope you're all safely doing the same with those you love. So keep your spirits up, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Sleep easy, friends.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Monday. You know, we got to have a little bit of fun, right, man? I mean, these are serious shows, and these are very difficult times that we are in. I think we all could agree on that, and we try to have comedians on whenever we can. We had George Wallace on last week. John Domenico, who is an unbelievable Donald Trump impersonator, was on our show. We had Jackie the Joke Man. You know, we try to make people laugh as much as possible. We had a funny moment in the Donald Trump press conference. It was very funny. Usually, I mean, I saw some tweets when women say when they hear Donald Trump and use the word aroused in the same sentence, they want to throw up. I thought that was kind of funny. I mean, let's be honest.
It's kind of like, right, Stein, when we use the words Brian Shapiro and we want to throw up also, right? It's kind of the same thing.
Or when we look at him in his robe.
Exactly.
See, I can take that. I deserve that. That's fine. But this was Donald Trump in one of his press conferences, and he uses the term aroused, which I find to be quite funny. Have a listen to this.
By shouting out many of them by name and documenting their deeds on a fully daily basis, he has vivified the American way in action. Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
What? That's what Melania said. It was hard to get it aroused.
He was reading from a Wall Street Journal editorial and how glowing it was. And then he started talking about being aroused. So he really liked it.
Guys, is that not an audio clip that is going to get spliced and moved around all over the place? You know it's coming.
And he said
right?
He said it three times.
It's going to be all over the place.
He said it 3 times. It was hard to get it aroused.
Yeah.
Mr. President, there are pills you could take for that. Trust me on that one. But anyway, a funny moment there in the press conference. A little bit of levity, I guess you could say. Mr. Stein, our producer, we have some other funny audio that I wanted to present to all of you. It's a prank, and I wanted Stein to kind of set the scene for us on what this actual prank is.
Yeah, well, sticking with the aroused theme, this is just something I came across, viral video online. I don't know where it was or who's involved, but I thought we needed a laugh. Apparently this is a mother who was in some kind of drive-through line somewhere, and there was a fast food worker, taking the order outside of the car, but not at the window, but like they do at In-N-Out Burger where they come up to your car sometimes. So there's this fast food worker, and he's at the woman's car window, and she's giving the order that was apparently on a piece of paper that her son wrote up. So her son wrote up this list of things to go get from the restaurant, and this is how that went.
Okay. And a sloppy wiener. That is not a thing. He's such a jerk. I am so sorry.
Sloppy wiener.
He's a jerk. Sorry.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And I don't know who that is, obviously, but her friend in the car.
Chris, have you ever had a sloppy wiener?
I have not, but you know what this immediately it reminds me of, guys? It reminds me of that Private Part scene with Howard Stern, where they're doing it, where they're all around the table, and they're throwing up the cards with the words on them.
Yeah. Well,
and you're not supposed to say the FCC, bans these words, obviously, and they go through the whole bit. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. Yeah, it got kind of we cut to the chase on that one, but yeah, I mean, you can get the idea. She's standing there sitting there in the food line, going, "And I'd like a chili cheese fry. Would you like some crazy sauce with that?" Yeah, give me some sauce. And oh, did you get the vanilla ice cream? Did I say? Okay, yeah. Okay, and a sloppy wiener.
We don't have that.
Not a thing.
That would be at the Chippendale show. But anyway, it's nice to have a little bit of fun and joke around a little bit at times where people are certainly on edge. I guess I'll speak for myself. I've definitely been on edge the last several weeks. This is not fun.
No, you haven't, man.
This is not fun for anybody. Well, you have too. So don't just put me in that category. You have been on edge as well. You just were in the background there, sitting there, steaming. So
wait a minute. You mean this isn't the ideal situation for you guys that you want to do a radio show in? Are you kidding me? Come on now.
I definitely was not steaming, but this.
You look like you just lost with pocket aces.
I had
put it all in pre-flop.
Absolutely no experience whatsoever with the sloppy wiener situation.
It was.
Are you sure about that?
But
Are you sure?
I do have some experience with the sloppy joes. Get them real sloppy.
What movie is that
That's
from?
Billy Madison.
Oh,
right?
that's right, Billy Madison.
Yes.
I remember that movie. That movie was fantastic.
Those sloppy joes.
That is the James Carville's in that movie.
That's Mike Tyson's
Yes, he is.
favorite movie, by the way. Mike Tyson loves that flick.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, this new ESPN documentary about Michael Jordan, the first few episodes of it aired yesterday, and we're going to talk a little bit about
Better
that.
say spoiler alert because I've never seen it, Brian.
Well, it was on yesterday on
Spoiler
national
alert,
television, so-
Brian.
No, we're going to talk about everything and anything that is it, and we're going to ruin it for you because to punish you for not watching it. That's your fault. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's called The Last Dance. Me and Seawin were watching it last night, and I know Stein watched it as well. So we're going to discuss that a little bit. The things I liked about it, the things I didn't like about it. There are some things about it I didn't like, but it certainly does not portray some people in the most positive light. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
The world needs more heroes, more action-oriented do-gooders, more here's how I can help right-hand sidekicks. The world of sarcoma is no different. And if you're thinking, what is sarcoma? We're glad you're listening. Sarcoma is a rare cancer of the body's soft tissue and bone, and this cancer affects tens of thousands of Americans yearly. The Sarcoma Foundation of America partners with like-minded heroes to advocate for sarcoma patients through funded research and widespread awareness efforts. Learn how you can join forces at curesarcoma.org.
My dogs do puppy zoomies around the house, so I will always endorse Dinovite. DINOVITE.com. Why wait? Save your dog from being stinky and having hot spots and shedding and making sure that they have the proper nutrition. Get them started early. I mean, your dogs will love you for it.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite at DINOVITE.com.
This is a commercial announcement. When will the virus lockdowns end and America get back to business? Now, Newsmax TV is asking the tough questions. Newsmax TV reveals what President Trump will do next. Americans are finding Newsmax TV. Ratings are up over 200%. So watch Newsmax TV today and shows with Chris Salcedo, Sean Spicer, and Greg Kelly. We're on every major cable system: DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Cox, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, WOW, and more. Newsmax is real news for real people.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a coronavirus Monday, folks. It's incredible. We're, past the mid-April stage, and we're still going through this. I don't know how much longer it is going to last. So we've been watching a lot of television. I think me and Chris could certainly attest to that. I think, Stein, you are as well. And during this time, really, what else is there to do? I mean, yeah, you can go outside, take a jog, and, order some food, but there's really not what else we can do other than watch television. So I've been watching a lot of TV. I normally do anyway, but certainly more than usual now. Besides the news, we were watching the news yesterday in the press conference, and me and Chris were red in the face. We were so angry at the press conference. We don't need to go there now. We've been talking about it for 2.5 hours. However, we were looking forward to this show. I know I was, called The Last Dance. It's a documentary. ESPN did a great OJ documentary. They really do a good job. So I was really looking forward to this. Basically, it's the life of Michael Jordan, the championships that he won with the Chicago Bulls, the trials and tribulations that he had to go through. And it was interesting because the first 2 hours, the first 2 episodes were yesterday, and they went back to when he was a child and then high school, and then they skipped to 96, 97. Then they went back to the mid-'80s. So I'm talking about the things I didn't like about the show. I didn't like the fact that they kept going back and forth. It wasn't in chronological order. That was frustrating to me. I want to hear more about 96, 97, and then they go back to when he was in high school and college asking his mom for money. Now, that's all great. I want to hear about that stuff. But would it have been too hard to put it in chronological order? I didn't like the order they put it in. I also kind of didn't like the fact that, at least in these first couple episodes, I wanted to hear more about his personal life. I wanted to hear more about his upbringing. We didn't hear a lot about that. In fact, we learned more about Scottie Pippen's upbringing than we did Michael Jordan. I didn't like that.
Well, let me bounce this off you, though, Brian. It's not supposed to be just about Michael Jordan. what the premise of this is, it's called The Last Dance. The reason it's called that is because Phil Jackson basically, that was the theme for that 1997-98 season. It was a record-breaking season, 72 wins, I believe, right? They won the NBA championship, thought of as one of the greatest teams in NBA history, and it was what the entire documentary is going to be about. And by the way, they just released the first 2 last night that we watched. It's going to be a 10-part series, I believe. But the whole premise is based on that team and that era, those 3 championships between, I believe, 96 through 98, where they won 3 straight championships, that second round of the Bulls. It's not just about Michael Jordan.
That's a good point.
So
I
it's
understand
about
that.
all the relationships.
Okay,
but
fair
I
point.
do agree with you, Brian. I 100% agree with you as far as I didn't really understand why you're bouncing back and forth in time frames as far as how they were going about, because you would expect in a documentary like that you would just go like a straight through timeline. If you're going to go back, then I get that. That's fine. You can do that, but there was a lot of bouncing around, and there wasn't. It wasn't really.
Not a lot of
It didn't seem like
continuity.
a lot of strategy to it. It was
So
kind of like
let's-
scattered that way.
So we agree on that. Let's talk about, that you always had, sadly, a kid in high school or middle school that was picked on or made fun of, and you kind of felt bad for him. I mean, it's hard to feel bad for a guy that's worth like $50 billion. I don't know if Jerry Krause was worth that much, but Jerry Krause, in a lot of these behind the scenes, people were making fun of him. I mean, there was a spot where
the general manager of the Chicago Bulls,
so there
the
was
guy
a-
who basically brought that team together.
Correct.
Right.
So there was a point before the layup line where Michael Jordan looks across and says, "Hey Jerry, you want to do some layups with? We'll lower the hoop for you." And then there are some other things that said, "Jerry, is there any?" Jordan goes to Jerry, "Is there any way you can get any shorter, Jerry?" And then Phil Jackson even admitted that they had to physically stop Scottie Pippen several times from getting into it with Jerry Krause because he was so inappropriate. Now listen, the Scottie Pippen story was my favorite part of these first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Now we all know he's called no tipping Pippen. We know that. We know that Scottie Pippen hasn't been the nicest, most generous person throughout his life. We know that already. But here's the stuff I didn't know. Scottie Pippen held such resentment to Jerry Krause when he should have held resentment for his agent. They signed him to what was it, an 8-year?
It was a 7-year, $18 million deal.
Now, there's
back in the early 90s,
There's
right?
no question that Pippen should have made $80 or $90 million. But that's not Jerry Krause's fault. Scottie Pippen signed on the dotted line. He had a bad agent. Don't blame Jerry Krause for getting an unbelievable. In fact, compliment Jerry Krause. He got Scottie Pippen, who at the time in his prime was probably the second best player in the NBA, and he got him for next to nothing.
Well, the Bulls fans definitely are complimenting Jerry Krause, but not Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen's not going to compliment him.
Best is a stretch.
Well, it's not a stretch to Magic Johnson, Phil Jackson, and Larry Bird, because they all said that.
Yeah, I don't think it was. But
well, that's your opinion.
The real glaring stat was in '97 when Jordan made $33 million and Pippen made $2.8.
Steve Kerr was making 3 times the money that Pippen was making.
He was the 6th highest paid guy on that 97-98 team.
Bill Wennington was making more money. That
was unbelievable.
But he did get paid with the Blazers. He ended up making $110 million in his career. He made more money than Jordan did long term.
Understood. We'll get there, and I don't feel bad for Pippen. I don't want to make it sound like I do. And you're right. Eventually, he did get paid. But here's the part of the documentary that was incredible to me. Pippen held so much resentment towards Jerry Krause that there were times where the whole team had to tell him to knock it off. This is the worst part about what we learned about Pippen yesterday. And by the way, I didn't know this. Do you remember when Pippen had an issue with his foot and he had to have surgery? Even Michael Jordan said that what Pippen did was selfish. This was the end of Pippen's contract, and he was trying to get back at Jerry Krause and the organization, not thinking about his teammates, not thinking about winning a championship. He could have waited till the end of the season to get his surgery. Instead, he decided to do it mid-season. Spitefully, he was a spite surgery, if you want to call it that. It was a spite surgery.
And Larry David would be very proud of you, Brian.
Michael Jordan was asked about it, and Michael Jordan said, he said it himself, what Pippen did was selfish. Now, Phil Jackson kind of took Pippen's side and said, I understand, but let's call it for what it is. It was a very selfish thing to do, and this series yesterday made Pippen out to be a really, really bad, selfish guy. It also showed how petty Michael Jordan is, constantly making fun of Jerry Krause. Look, Jerry Krause was a guy that said some controversial things. Jerry Krause was the guy that said, it's the organization that wins championships, not players. Listen, I wouldn't use that verbiage, but did Jerry Krause deserve the cheap shots and the disrespect from the players that he got? It got to a point where Krause had to sit right in the front of the bus because he didn't want to deal with that. I mean, it got so bad back there that there were players like Joe Klein that said that, they had to kind of separate Krause from some of the other players on the team. To me, that is completely unacceptable.
Well, the story behind that, of course, was during this situation with Scottie Pippen as far as his contract. And Pippen, there were times you're bringing up instances where Pippen got into it with Jerry Krause. We're talking about Pippen apparently was in the back of buses, like just dropping F-bombs on Jerry Krause and calling him names and just hammering him. So that was something that a lot of us, like you pointed out, just learned from these documentaries. What's the big appeal, guys, about this documentary? A big appeal, I'll tell you what it is. It's called unseen footage, never before seen footage, right? It's audio clips. It's stories from players that we didn't know about back then when we were actually following this team and watching this team play. That is the big draw of this entire miniseries.
And the fact
you brought it up as far as like
and the fact that we're sports stars right now.
Yes,
that helps.
And the fact everybody
Good timing.
Chomping at the bit, right, Stein,
Yep.
to get a chance to see something that's new as far as sports. And so that there's so many. And look, there's only been 2 episodes of this. There's 8 more. It's going to be interesting to see more of these stories that we didn't know about come out in this documentary.
2 things that struck me in this documentary. One, that was it Jordan's second year in the league. He had broken his foot.
Right.
And there was it was crazy. The doctor said there's a 10%, it's a small percentage, but a 10% chance if you play on that broken foot, and it breaks it, even further, your career is over. Michael Jordan's career, he risked going out on that court. His career could have been over in 1986. I mean, there would have been no Air Jordan. There would have been no championships. But Jordan, being the competitor that he is, still went out there anyway, saying, well, you said 10% that it could end my career, but 90% that it won't. So I like those odds. So that was the thing I found very interesting. The second thing I found interesting was just how what's the word I'm looking for? How weak that Bulls franchise was before Jordan got there.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed they showed those crowds at the Chicago arena where they played.
Artis Gilmore.
Before they built the United Center, way before that. No one is going to those games.
Yeah.
No. I mean, nobody. And then Jordan turned that whole thing around. That was incredible to see the night and day difference there.
To what you're saying, they played some sound clips from a couple NBA players before Jordan's prime, Mark Eaton, and a couple other players that made some idiotic comments and said there's not one player that can take over a franchise. Boy, were they wrong.
Yeah, he changed the game.
But also to Stein's point, as far as Chicago Stadium not getting any attendance, they talked about the indoor soccer team, the Chicago Sting, were outdrawing the Bulls in the NBA back in 1980.
I think when you saw after Kobe Bryant tragically died in that crash, I was watching a lot of the practice footage where he would swear at other players and get into it with other players. And they showed a little bit of that footage with Michael Jordan. And as you know, Michael Jordan got into fist fights with Bill Cartwright, with Steve Kerr. He got into fights. They're so similar, Kobe and Jordan, in that aspect. Their competitive nature. I think they're very different people. They were, sadly to say, with Kobe off the floor, very different people. But on the floor, to me, they were 2 and 2 alike. That competitive fire, all that Michael Jordan cared about. And by the way, he's still like this on the golf course and in competitive. Jordan is a nut. They're psychotic when it comes to winning. All they care about is winning. They don't care about anything else. They will make your life a living hell if they know it'll help you win, help the team win. And that's what Jordan was. That's what Kobe was. That's what Magic, Bird, all these guys care. And I don't think there's enough players like that in professional sports today. There's some, but not a lot.
Not Kevin Durant.
I said there's some.
Yeah,
but
Kevin Durant to me is.
But he's a different cat, though.
Is Michael Jordan 5 inches taller? Honestly,
well,
I mean, dude, he literally played. He tried to play with a torn ACL, and he ended up tearing his Achilles. I mean, the guy was. We watched Kevin Durant during summer basketball go 1-on-1 about a year and a half ago against 9 All-Stars for an hour and a half after playing an entire 2-hour practice. Destroyed every single one of them and wanted to keep going.
There's no doubt that Kevin Durant cares a lot about winning. Like I said, there are some, but not a lot. I think there were more people that cared about winning in the 80s than there are today. But with that being said, Kevin Durant never struck me as the kind of guy where a lot of players just don't want to play with him. Kevin Durant didn't strike me as a guy in practice that would punch other guys in practice and scream and swear. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were exactly those type of guys, and I love that. And I think we need. Listen, you're not going to see another Michael Jordan in our lifetime. Not going to see another Larry Bird, most likely, or Kobe Bryant. But I love the footage of seeing Michael Jordan, and you saw it. He was yelling and swearing at Ron Harper in a practice, and they showed that footage. And man, I love that, and I love that for a couple different reasons. Number one, this isn't about money. This isn't about fame. This isn't about anything or even busting balls. It's about Jordan doesn't like what he's seeing from one of his teammates. He's pissed off at him, and it's basketball related and basketball related only. And I love to see that because it's such a natural thing. It's like kids on the playground jawing at one another, but yet you have the best player in the world doing it. And that's the one thing about Michael Jordan that I love the most, is that you can say what you want about him with the tipping and with the womanizing and you know, playing baseball and all that. The guy wanted to win more than anybody at that time, and I love that quality.
So he gets a pass because for being a horrible human being because he's a phenomenal athlete, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Yes.
No.
All right.
No.
All right.
No. Wait a second.
Well, I don't say.
Hold on a second.
I don't know if pass is the right
Hold
way
on
to
a
look
second.
at it.
Make
Yeah,
no
you know,
mistake. Hold on a second. I said I'm talking about his basketball career.
Right.
Michael Jordan is not a good human being.
No.
Michael Jordan is a womanizer. Michael Jordan has been a horrific tipper for most of his life. He is not a kind human being. I've never said Michael Jordan is a good person. And by the way,
Brian,
I never will.
Are you a womanizer?
Am I a woman? In what aspect? Do I cheat? Is that what you're saying?
Are you a womanizer?
Okay, well, my definition of a womanizer...
I would say that you probably are.
Okay, well, I disagree with you because I'm single and I've never cheated on a girlfriend in my life. When I say womanizer, I mean married cheating.
Have you ever dated 4 different women at the same time?
I'm not sure what this has to do with Michael Jordan.
And were they aware of each other?
I'm not sure what this has to do with Michael Jordan.
Just answer the question.
Okay, but can you tell me what this has to do with the conversation?
Well, I think that you're calling Michael Jordan a womanizer, which makes him a horrible
because
human
he's
being.
constantly.
I believe that you are a womanizer.
Okay, well, here's the difference between me and Michael Jordan. Number one, I've never been married before.
Okay.
Number two, I've never cheated on a girlfriend before. I've been cheated on before.
I think you mean adulterer. Right? Womanizing's okay.
Well,
we can all get behind womanizing.
Maybe there's maybe there's a difference between
Your definition's
womanizing
different.
and committing adultery.
Right.
But I think no, I don't think I'm a woman. I really don't. I think I treat women with respect. I do.
I'm interested how this this conversation about Michael Jordan competitiveness turned to.
I have no idea why.
Brian
Do
Shapiro
you think that Brian Shapiro is a womanizer, Chris?
I don't believe that he is.
Do you think?
I believe that if he had that opportunity,
man.
that he would take advantage of it and try to do it. But under the nature of the circumstances, the nature of his life
you don't think he
doesn't
has
lead to that.
You don't think he has the chops for it?
I don't know if I would describe it that way. I just don't foresee him. I just don't perceive Brian in that way. So I guess I'm saying that.
How's your luck with women these days?
No, all I'm saying.
How's your luck with women these days?
No, Brian.
No. Answer my question now. You want to get personal with me? How's your luck with women these days?
First of all, Brian, this conversation is. I will answer your question.
He has a beautiful wife at home.
I
What are
do.
you talking about?
I have a wife and I have a daughter. Okay.
And an adorable daughter.
But that's not what I asked you.
That's what I have going on.
That's not what I asked you.
Now that being said, Brian, I'm saying if you're calling Michael Jordan a womanizer, and that's one of the reasons why you think he's a horrible human being.
That's there's many other reasons.
Okay. Well, adulterer makes sense, but womanizer.
There's many other reasons.
Okay.
There's many other reasons why I would say he's a bad
I think
person.
you might be nitpicking a little bit on on what name
No,
he's
he
being
is.
called as far as Michael Jordan.
Well, like Donald Trump, for example, definitely
Absolutely womanizer.
definitely an adulterer.
Absolutely
Probably also a womanizer.
I will only
simultaneously.
I will only speak for myself and say
JFK, Roosevelt, Warren Buffett,
womanizers.
all womanizers,
All womanizers.
all adulterers.
Yes. I don't know how we got from Michael Jordan to this, but I can only speak for myself when I say that.
We normally have hate mail here. I think this was JD's attempt at doing a hate mail segment, except all the letters were coming from him.
I can only say and speak for myself that I am very happy with my personal situation right now when it comes to women. I am very happy. I don't speak for anybody else at the table, but I am very happy with my own specific situation. And I could be wrong on this, but I have a feeling that there are some people at the table that wish they were in my situation. I'll leave it at that. And I'm not a womanizer. I don't commit adultery and all that other stuff. But I am very happy with my situation, and I can give you a lot of names of people that have dated me. Not he, she's. And they would say that I treat them with respect, and I still talk to them. JD, how many ex-girlfriends do you still talk to?
Currently?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Right, because it's probably zero.
Because the answer is
it's probably zero.
because the answer
Okay.
is
Fair enough.
definitely zero.
Okay, well, it's not with me. You know why? Because I remain friends with women that I've dated because they respect me. and I
You
respect
also
them.
don't have a wife who would be angry if you spoke to
Well, that's your problem, not mine. That's your problem.
You
not
got to factor
mine.
that. You got to factor that in as well.
Well, when I was engaged,
Okay.
She didn't have a problem with me speaking to my exes, but then again, she probably wouldn't have had a problem with me sleeping with them either. So that's another story for another show. See, here's the difference, though. JD.
Boy, that was some documentary.
There we go. Stay tuned to The Last Dance. It's going to be very interesting the rest of the way, folks.
I don't know how that conversation.
I can't wait to see if they win the championship.
Really
Yes.
don't. At least JD's laughing for the whole
Do they
show.
pull it out,
He looked like
Stein?
he wanted to stab me
Do
throughout
they
the whole
get it
show.
done? We'll see.
I predict Bulls in 7 over the Utah Jazz.
Well, I do hope we get to it, but it's a good show. I'm glad we have something to look forward to, and I'm glad that I believe it's 2 hours a week we're getting, right? 2 different episodes, hour each a week. So fun show, and I look forward to more behind the scenes footage. I want to see footage of Michael Jordan knocking out Steve Kerr. That would make it for me. That would apparently they
Or
got that
just a
big fight.
scrap between the two.
Can you
would be
imagine
great.
Jordan and Bill Cartwright? Bill Cartwright is enormous. Can you imagine that? Apparently that happened at a practice. Phil Jackson's a big dude too. I'm sure he got in between them and tried to break him
Yeah,
up.
Phil's like 6'8".
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's not small.
He's a big dude. All right, it's been a fun show, Chris. Thanks for coming in as always.
No doubt.
No time for hate mail today. It was just JD's segment to make fun of me, I guess, but that's fine.
I was not making fun of you at all.
No, not at all.
No, I was not.
not
No, I
at all.
really was not
Accusing
making
me
fun
of
of
being a womanizer is not making fun of me. at all. You're
That's
right.
not making fun of you.
No, that's okay. That's
Stein
fine.
can give him a double dose tomorrow
It's
of hate
fine.
mail, right?
It's fine.
Maybe.
Fine.
Possibly.
Well, because
All right, we
according to
gotta
you, everyone wants to be a womanizer.
No, that's not true at all. I don't feel I've never said that before, and that's not true. I respect women a great deal. That is not correct. All right, we're going to take a break for about 21 hours, ladies and gentlemen. More reaction probably if you missed our interview with Mayor Carolyn Goodman. We'll put it up on our social media page at the Vegas Take. It was very, very interesting. Sean Hannity coming up next, folks. Please stay safe. Have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.